What's up, guys? Tambo here with your Week 5 core report. Coming off a huge Week 4 where our guy Hoop shipped for $1 million, Week 5 was yet another busy one with our experts and members shipping left and right. Last Monday, RPS was all over the leaderboard, chopping the big Monday Night Football DraftKings showdown contest. AP, Hoop, Statlers, Adam GQ6, and BX Boom all shipped the first place prize for $5,900 each. Humacom also hit that night, chopping first in several contests for $8,700. Later on in the week, Uncle T continued his heater, shipping for $11K in MLB. JT Hayes also hit for $20K in MLB. But our biggest hits came on the Sunday Week 5 main slate, where Big T continued his heater, hitting on his FanDuel core. Tony's core featured Josh Allen, Jeff Wilson, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Khalil Shakir, and Pat Freiermuth. By taking the discount with Shakir and going cheap at running back, Tony was able to round out his lineup, adding Gabe Davis for the double stack, as well as Raheem Mostert and the Patriots D, shipping Big T over $128,000 for the weekend. The Tone Dog was not alone, as our members rode that core to some big hits as well. C. Tangretti turned $21 into $1,800. DFS Dad hit for $8,800. Drew C.A. won $7,500. Jamie Walsh hit big for $20K. J-Dub 115 joined in with a $21,000 hit, and Kevin Barnhill shipped over $90,000. To top it off, our guy Swint parlayed a $333 ticket given away by Hoop on our live Sunday NFL show into $3,500. And the winning didn't stop there. K. Fallick joined our free live Sunday Night Football showdown show to lay out his strategy for the Bengals-Ravens game.
It is kicker season. We got the two best kickers in the league.
Thank you. Let's go, Kevin.
Get your 3 field goals from McPherson. Get your 2 field goals from Tucker, vice versa. Take your 10 points and go home.
Again, if you're not subscribed to our YouTube page, get it done now. It's easy to do and can actually help you learn how to win. K. Fallick also called his shot in our premium Discord and used his member-provided game plan to ship $68,000. Our NFL content has been on fire all season, especially our showdown stuff. I myself use my main core for my attack plan on Monday Night Football to cap off a week of winning at RPS with a King of the Beach ticket. Sign up for a RunPureSports membership today and get in on the fun. You have nothing to lose by trying us out. Remember, you're not winning with us, you're watching us win. Until next time, let's keep running pure. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, aka Toe Tag and Tambo. We're back, Week 6, the Off the Chalk Show here on the RunPureSports YouTube channel. Do us a favor, as always, on the way in, click that like. The goal was 100 before we went live, but I'm happy with over 300 watching, pushing 100 very quickly here on the way in. Hit subscribe if you haven't. We did cross our goal of 12,000 last week, looking for 15,000. Now we move to the bigger number, so appreciate all of you. Appreciate my two guys. I'm here with JT Hayes, of course. AP, I'll bring you in first, man. How you doing this week?
Yeah, doing really well. Sunday's finally here. We got Bills Chiefs rematch. It's going to be really interesting. It's going to be a great day with a lot of good games. I'm excited to break it down with you two gentlemen.
Yeah, and on top of that, like you said, you got that game. Nothing can go wrong, right? Especially for you. You love the Chiefs side. We're going to talk about quarterbacks in a second, which will relate heavily to that game. But JT Hayes, I know you like some playoff baseball. I like it with you. I was up late last night watching the Padres get the job done. How's the playoffs been for you so far over there?
Well, my team lost last night, but listen, I think the bigger picture here is, the death of the teams that spend money. I mean, all these teams that spend a ton of money are going to be sitting at home. The Yankees, they have a chance to be sitting at home today in their game with the Guardians. And even the one team that has been good, consistently good for the last 4 or 5 years, cheating notwithstanding that 1-2 year period, the Houston Astros, they don't really spend a lot of money. That's a lot of homegrown talent. So all the Mets fans out there who are happy today because the Braves lost and think that because their owner has a ton of money, they're going to be good at some point in the future, watch what's going on here. It doesn't matter how much you spend, Tambo. What does it matter? How you spend it, which is what we're going to do today. We're going to watch how we play our guys. And yeah, the Chiefs, and can't go wrong, something that I expect to hear on this show. We didn't get to hear it last week because they were off the slate, but I wrote up that game in the Gems article. I wrote up the two highest scoring games, and I said they were the main and the co-main event, and that's the Bills and the Chiefs. And then a game that's getting a little bit overlooked because of that is Seattle and Arizona. So I'm excited. Two great games finally in the late window. The last couple of weeks, it's been three shitty games at 4:00. Not so today.
Yeah, today's going to be great. You stack the early games, even when you get them going off, you're going to be scared of the afternoon. You stack the afternoon. You don't have to feel as bad about the morning, but then you're praying everything goes right in the afternoon. I love that one, JT Hayes. It's not how much you spend, it's how you spend it, how you deploy that money. So let's talk about how we're going to spend our money, AP, at the quarterback position. We should dive right in. Starts with your guy, Mahomes, up there, but it's Allen that's getting all the ownership in that game. So we've got Josh Allen pushing 20% plus. We've got Brady falling in behind him. And then based on the price, Geno Smith in the aforementioned game by JT Hayes there, the Seattle-Arizona game, nobody got priced up from those two teams. Seattle has got beaten up by everybody they've played. That game is going to get overstacked, I think, almost like how when our guy Hoopster won the million that week with Seattle and Detroit, it looks very plausible to do the same thing there in that game. And even on FanDuel, you could do it there as well. But go ahead, AP, talk to us a little bit about this quarterback position.
Yeah, first things first, chat is on fire already this morning. Love what I'm seeing there. David Gant, love the logo, love the good mojo you're bringing, but 24-17 Chiefs win. If the Chiefs hold Josh Allen to 17 points, 17 points, I mean, like injuries on this defense too. I mean, that would be like an early Christmas present. Actually, it would not, because I'm going to have exposure to this game. So if the Bills score 17 points, I'm going to be hurting. My wallet is definitely going to be hurting. Fortunately, I don't see that being the case. Tambo, we were talking before the show started. There's a lot of correlation between Allen and Mahomes. Like one needs, if the Chiefs hang in this thing and, make it a game, which you think they would, I don't think it's going to be due to their defense. I think it's going to be Mahomes doing what he does and keeping them in it. And the reason we want that is because there's no way the Chiefs are going to blow out this Bills team. This Bills team is too good. So they positively correlate to each other. If one does good, the other does good. The interesting thing about that is we're getting Mahomes at like 1/5 the ownership of Allen. Now, the floor ceiling combination is arguably way safer on Josh Allen because of the rushing upside. We do see Mahomes rush, but that's usually in the playoffs. This does have the makings of a playoff type of game because you have to assume the winner of this game will most likely go on and get home field advantage, winning the AFC. At least that's the assumption I'm working under. And the Bills are going to be gunning for that because they saw what happened when you go through, Arrowhead. It's tough. It's really, really tough, despite the Bengals getting it done last year. But still, the Bills are going to want that home field advantage. It'll be huge for them in the playoffs. So I think this is a playoff type of game. And it'll be interesting to see if Mahomes runs the ball. We saw him have success in the playoffs last year against this Bills team. So my main point is, obviously, I love Josh Allen, top quarterback. He's going to get a ton of ownership. In a Millie Maker type of format, we got the 5-5-5 Millie Maker, which is a 5,000 entry pool field. You're going to have Mahomes at 5 to 7% owned, and we saw him outscore him in the playoffs. Now, we don't have Tyreek Hill, obviously, but Mahomes is a magician, man. He can find a way to get it done. So I'm going to have some Mahomes exposure. It's going to be in line with my Josh Allen exposure. I'll probably be in line with the field on Josh Allen, but I'm fine with that because I know I'm going to be overweight on Patrick Mahomes today. So obviously those are the two top spend up quarterbacks. And then Geno Smith. I mean, it's hard to argue against him in this spot. I agree with JT Hayes. Maybe this game is going a little bit overlooked now due to, the how high profile this KC, Bills game is. And 5.7K, that opens up a ton for what it allows you to do with your builds today. So for me, it's going to be a pretty tight quarterback pool. Like I do think Joe Burrow is interesting. I'm going to keep going there in tournaments. We're going to get him very low owned. So Burrow to Chase is going to be an interesting stack. No Lattimore there. The Saints defense looks to be a little bit banged up, but I'm going to keep it simple at the quarterback spot. It's going to be Allen, Mahomes, and Geno Smith are going to kind of dominate a lot of my ownership.
Again, I think we know the game, like you said, what we're competing with. So that's kind of the key factor there. You talked a little bit about the correlation, and that's in the aspect. I'll bring up something quick, and then JT Hayes, I'll come to you. But when you've got everyone, there was people in the chat earlier talking about RunPureSports last night, CFB, just crushing it in the college football streets. You get a super flex. Why does everyone play a quarterback in the super flex? Because the quarterbacks against each other, oftentimes you'll play two in the same game, just stack it up. It's that correlates the most, but on a classic NFL slate for DFS, you can't play it that way. So if we would, we could, but you do have to think about that when you're looking for a way to get different. If you believe this is the game of the day, you can easily go to that other side. And I know what you'll say, the projections, the ceilings, all that, they don't show it. But let's say right now I'm looking at it's about a 5 or 6 point gap between Mahomes and Allen, which is a lot. But if Singletary runs one in, that takes away from Allen. And yes, Allen could throw one to him, all that. It's all ifs, ands, or buts. But my point being, you have to look for some of this stuff. I know last week a big conversation was, all the cash games just tore shit up and won. Yeah, a bunch of chalk did hit. But I can tell you right now, like Gabe Davis, Shakir, some of these guys, those are decisions that good tournament players made to make the rest of it work. And because they went to that and made their quote unquote cash lineups more GPP-esque with a full stack and a run back and a secondary stack, they could just plug in all those values. That's really not what the cash build looked like originally. And there was other cash builds that looked quite different. So just to keep that in mind, that would be an example this week where I think you could do the same thing. JT Hayes, I'll come to you. We talked a little bit about it. I'll get your thoughts on it too, but just the thing about the Buffalo Kansas City game is like Josh Allen just projects so well. Everything we just said, it all looks good. We talked about a way to get a little bit off the chalk at quarterback, which who cares, but go to the other side. But you also have this thing in like your 150 set, if you're MMEing, where it's Josh Allen versus the world, or you can start taking on Tom Brady versus absolutely nobody in Pittsburgh, willing to just stomp it and keep throwing it. Props of like 300 passing yards. You can go to Joe Burrow, who AP mentioned, going against no Lattimore, no defense in New Orleans, in the dome with a beat up offense for them too. So maybe it does get popping a little bit back and forth. They have nobody really there. Dalton in again, Kamara, of course, Taysom Hill, whatever, but they're missing quite a few other guys. And then you've got guys like Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray on the other side, pay a little bit more than you pay for Geno Smith. But what are your thoughts, JT Hayes, going into this week 6 slate at quarterback?
Yeah, it always seems when we talk on this show on Sunday that there are so many options, right? And then you look at the end of the day and, it comes down to the same 2 or 3 guys. And I'll start with Josh Allen here. 2 games against Kansas City last year, he scored 40 fantasy points in both. So, I mean, you're looking at, I think the floor here is 30 and the ceiling could be a lot higher, right? And yes, he's going to be high owned. I think you were talking about it just now, right? One of the easiest ways to differentiate with Josh Allen is you simply don't pair him with Steph Diggs. And Steph Diggs, he was the guy that Kansas City contained last year. And when you look at the game last week, I mean, we're talking about a Chiefs team that gave up, what was it, 30 points, 29 points against the Las Vegas Raiders at home? I mean, what do you think the Bills are going to do to them here on a short week for the Kansas City Chiefs? The guy that stretched the field for them last year was Gabe Davis. That's his role in this offense. Isaiah McKenzie is back as a slot guy. So I think you can go Allen to McKenzie and to Davis. Leave Steph Diggs off of those lineups. That's going to make you a little bit different. You mentioned Devin Singletary. Really hard to get there with some of the value at running back this week that I think is really good value, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Geno Smith, when's the last time that we talked about the Seahawks passing offense? I mean, they are the number 1 ranked DVOA passing offense in the NFL. I mean, that's absolutely fucking insane that you've got a 5.7K quarterback against a team that's giving up the 5th most points, fantasy points against quarterbacks in Seattle at home. That place is going to be rocking. Seattle's probably going to lose, but they're putting up a lot of points. They're giving up a lot of points. On the other side, Kyler Murray, you mentioned Taysom Hill rushing for 3 touchdowns against the Seattle team last week, playing like half the snaps, not even half the snaps. So I think you do have to like Kyler Murray here at lower ownership. Tom Brady, really difficult for me to see, even though Mike Tomlin coaches his team up well. They are coming off a blowout. I expect them to play a little better. Just hard to see them competing with missing all of their secondary. So I think this is a game where you could see another heavy dose of Fournette, maybe some Rachaad White in there. I like the receivers there. And then Burrow, I think, is interesting because I honestly think the entire Cincinnati offensive attack here is interesting against New Orleans, which means you have to be somewhat interested in Joe Burrow at just 6,700. But his piece is much more interesting to me. So I'm definitely going to have a lot of Josh Allen and then Geno Smith and Kyler Murray, and then I might have some Joe Burrow as well.
Yeah, I like that. The Joe Burrow piece, like I said, so here's the thing with Allen. You mentioned it perfectly. With Allen being high owned and his wide receiver one, Diggs, which we'll get there later, being high owned, that's always a challenge where you want to get a little bit different because if the one fails as chalk, you pick up extra leverage on a popular quarterback, popular stack, popular game. Well, the reason I was bringing up the Mahomes side is because think about all these Josh Allen lineups, and it'll be a segue when we go there shortly to running back. But with Ramondre Stevenson's ownership, and he's at 6,000 even, it's going to be Josh Allen, Ramondre Stevenson. You don't need the money. It's when you go down $200 to Mahomes, you don't need the money. But I'm saying the idea would be, how are you going to get there instead of Allen? Is hopefully that Singletary steals some. And you can play Singletary and Stevenson together, but the idea there would be if you're playing Mahomes, I like putting Singletary in. You're saying it's probably going to be a closer game, so that gets there. What was the narrative last week? Last week, don't play Singletary. He's no good in blowouts. I went against it. I said, let's see what happens. It's only a 4-game sample size. It bit me. I didn't have crazy amounts, but I'm saying here in this spot, Vegas, the line, everything thinks it's going to be a close game. It's still in Arrowhead, so it's still going to be what we should see as a closer game. I know a lot of people have it as the blowout. I kind of see it that way too, but nothing else is moving that way. So if we end up seeing the closer game, and if you're building for that closer game, which you are, if you're going for Mahomes, then why not include Singletary? And you could still use Stevenson, or you can use him instead. And now that's how I'm saying you flip the build. But when it wins at the end of the day, or if it wins at the end of the day, I should say, people will look at it and go, oh, they just played that Chiefs-Bills game. Yeah, but they played it way different than what you thought. So just keep those little things in mind as you're going along. Guys, over 800 watching. We appreciate all of you here on this early Sunday morning. The likes dipped, though. We were at the fastest 200. We're trying to get to the fastest 500. We've got 14 minutes. We're a long ways away at just 250. But again, if you can type, the chat's popping, you can like. Go hit the like button. Takes 2 seconds, helps us out a ton. AP, other guys at quarterback you want to talk about? Anything else you took away from what we just mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, just my one comment, like Singletary, I don't know if I can get there, even though like Josh Jacobs like absolutely ran through this Chiefs, defense. I just, man, it's tough with all of the good plays. And obviously we'll get to running back, but I don't know. Like, I guess the one thing that I will say that would tilt me is like if Tom Brady breaks the slate early, I might be a little tilted. I don't know about you guys. I just, 6,300. I know it's a spot against the Steelers where their defense is just in shambles. I don't know. Are you guys playing any Brady? Like
I am for sure. I can't spoiler everything, but if you're a RunPureSports member, you might see some Brady over on the side of what I got.
All right. Brady, are you going onslaught though?
Well, here's the thing. Look again, he's no Josh Allen, but I'm saying Tampa will stomp him if they have to. And look at what Josh Allen put up last week. I don't think Brady is doing that, but when you've got Godwin priced down, you've got Fournette, who he throws the ball to, Evans. Like, there is nobody in the secondary. I think they've allowed 5 different wide receivers to go for over 20 plus DraftKings points. So I at least have some interest. I don't go all in on a guy, but that's where you can mix him around your lineup some. I definitely like Brady in this spot.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'll let Tambo talk me in. We'll see. But right now I'm trying.
Let's go to running back, because I do want to just say one thing. And again, this is why, I mean, you're dead on. This is what Big T had said to me last week when I was trying to give Kareem Hunt takes. By the way, Kareem Hunt didn't have the worst game for his price tag, but the point was he was a bad play because of all the other values that were out there. Now, the Singletary thing to me, and that's why we're going there, is very specific, is that if you look at it from the perspective of right now, Josh Allen projects for 5 or 6 more than Mahomes. Right now, Ramondre Stevenson projects for what? A lot more. I think probably the same 5 or 6, if not more. I'm just pulling it up here now to see what we've got at projection. So 20, I mean, it's about 7 points, but there's the exact point I'm trying to make, is if he steals one, he picks up those points. It doesn't mean Stevenson doesn't, but the point would be he would pick it up, and that could come from Allen and increase for Mahomes. So I think, it's a good way to do it. And that's why I've heard a lot of people say this, and I like it, is if you're building like Allen lineups or your Mahomes, it's not a bad idea to play around with an optimizer and sort of virtually hand build, if you will, where you build them and then start looking through them to be like, is this unique enough? And does it tell the story that makes sense for what I'm thinking in this game? And then put it in that way. That's sort of my thoughts there. Did you have something else at quarterback you wanted to say, AP, or you want to go to running back?
No, I'm good to go on to running back.
Okay, so we'll go to running back. I've got right now the ownership is pretty obvious up top, right? You've got Eno Benjamin, $4,600 in that spot. No James Conner, no Darrell Williams, Ramondre Stevenson, who we already talked about. Interesting note there. I don't see it any way, shape, or form, but they are saying that Damian Harris is going to, warm up. But they brought up Kevin Harris as well, which if he scores a touchdown today and Harris tilts the Ramondre Stevenson shares, that's going to be something else. K Harris, that would be, but at least those guys. And then you've got Kenneth Walker, same side of that other Seattle-Arizona game. Darrell Henderson, who I will say, AP, I do see trending down because there was also a report this morning that they're going to try Malcolm Brown. And I forget the other guy that's there. I think it's something Rivers, Ronnie Rivers or something. So we'll see what they're doing there. But then Alvin Kamara popped up a little bit overnight with the news that Olave is, I think he's out or likely out. We'll have to wait and see the final news, but it sounds like he's going to be out. So them missing all of their guys. Kamara still came through last week, even with Taysom getting 4 touchdowns. So AP, I'll go to you. How do we handle this chalk here at the running back position?
Yeah, starting with Ramondre. I mean, we know what the Patriots want to do. They want to run the ball. His price tag is extremely fair. And then Jadeveon Clowney's out. So I believe it's Alex Wright will get the start. He's a rookie, I think 3rd or 4th round pick. I don't see how, I don't see how Ramondre Stevenson doesn't get there. So I want to be overweight on him. It just checks so many boxes. If they're going to get anywhere near their implied team total of 20 points, you have to assume that it's very likely Ramondre gets in the box. He's going to get 20 plus touches. He's going to get target. He fits so many different scripts. So that's definitely chalk I like to eat this week. And then you got Eno Benjamin, 4.6K. Man, he's going to be mega chalk too, but it's what it allows you to do with your lineup. So it's like, he's going to be in my player pool. I do think there's, now we get into a few, what I think are more interesting plays. Alvin Kamara, I do think he's going to get steamed up a little bit, but we saw what he did when Chris Olave was out last week. When he got hurt, Alvin Kamara was the focal point of this offense. He got all of the looks out of the backfield. I mean, it was really centering around him. And so now when you look at that, and when you look at the receivers, it's Marquez Callaway, Traquan Smith. I think it's going to be the Alvin Kamara show. And, no DJ Reader. Obviously, he's been out for a while now on the Bengals side. But if you look at what Dobbins did in the Ravens game, so if we think back, what was a week and a half or something ago, Dobbins, I believe, had a really nice game against this Bengals team. And when you think about how he was used and involved, very similar to, in a way to Alvin Kamara getting some dump offs out of the backfield, we can hope. So 6.7K, I think, is a very fair price tag on him. Darrell Henderson's the one where it's like, man, 5.1K. I don't know. I think he would be the one that I'm currently fine being under on. We know this Rams offensive line is really bad. They're banged up. They're going to be without one of their best offensive linemen, which isn't really saying much because he's not even that good. But then if you look at all the other pieces there on this offensive line, they're just terrible. They're really bad. So I don't think I can trust them. And I mean, we're even looking at the Panthers defense. And I think in a Millie Maker type of format, Christian McCaffrey, he was a flag plan of mine last week, 2% owned across the board. Obviously, it didn't work out. He still got 25 DK points for me. The opportunity was there. 8.3K. You could play him with the Panthers defense. I think it's kind of an interesting way to correlate in that late window. But then, you've got, there's so many interesting plays where you could get off the chalk. I just don't know if it's worth it. Like Jeff Wilson against the Falcons. I'm really curious to see if that's a place where our boy JT Hayes is going. He loves to pick on his Falcons. You got Dalvin Cook 7.5K against a Dolphins team that, you can run on. So there's going to be ways to get different. It's just, man, you got to kind of evaluate it from an opportunity cost standpoint. What are you giving up by moving off some of these plays? Right now, for me, the chalk I'm comfortable eating is Ramondre and Eno Benjamin is kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, and we'll come back to you for some more after we go to JT Hayes here. Guys, almost 1,000 watching now. If you can't hit the like, on your bike, take a hike. Come on, we can hit that like button. It takes 2 seconds. It's free. JT Hayes, I'll go to you with these chalk guys here, and then we'll bust out some others that we like. But Ramondre Stevenson, Kenneth Walker, Kamara, Henderson, sort of talk me through these guys at the top, and then give me some others that you might like for the slate.
Yeah, I want to comment first on what you just said. I mean, nearly 1,000 watching, 360 likes. Simon, should we shut this off right now? I mean, that
500 plus. We got 6 minutes to get to 500. That's the fastest 500.
That is one of the most hurtful things I have ever seen in my life, in my time here at RunPure. Let's get those up. On Ramondre and Eno, I just think it's chalk that you have to play here, just because it's not so much that, okay, the other guys are out and they're going to get all the run. In both cases, it's 2 other running backs are out. They actually like these guys, both of these teams. And when you talk about Cleveland, you talk about Seattle, they're giving up the most and second most fantasy points to opposing running backs. It's just a spot, I think, to not overthink it with those 2 guys. And someone in chat was mentioning 3 running backs this week. I think you can play 3 running backs. And the other guys I like, Joe Mixon back down to 6.9K, a perfect price on DraftKings in a matchup where Cincinnati, their spread has gotten bigger. They've gone up to now it's a 2. They've moved by 2 points greater as a favorite there. So I like Mixon a little bit here. There is a little bit of concern with Samaje Perine getting some run here, taking some snaps. So that's my only concern with him. You mentioned Jeff Wilson. Kyle Shanahan loves Tevin Coleman. Absolutely loves Tevin Coleman. It's bizarre for me. This line has moved in the direction of the Falcons. I believe this is the 49ers' second game on the road. My biggest takeaway with the Falcons from weeks 1 through 5 has been, and I'm surprised by this, their defense is better than anybody expected. Their defense is better than it's been in 4 or 5 years. They're limiting opposing wide receiver ones. I can see this as a trail script where Tevin Coleman at 4 or 5 actually gets you to 15 fantasy points. I'm not going to have a lot of him. I'm going to have a sprinkle of him. So I prefer him, to Jeff Wilson Jr. there. I think I'm going to be off of the Seattle rushing attack here. I know that they like this kid, Walker. I just don't really trust that DJ Dallas isn't going to get in there and get some run as well. And I just like the other guys a lot more. So I like those guys. I'm a little concerned about the Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison split percentage here. It looks like Madison's really creeping close to a 50% share in that environment. So I think I'm probably, even though it is, as AP mentioned, a very good spot for Cook, I think that price point is going to move me off. And then Breece Hall is getting a lot of love. I mean, this guy, a couple of touchdowns. The Jets had, I think it was 4 touchdowns from their running backs last week. Now they got on the road to Lambeau. I think I'm going to avoid the Jets backfield here. Although as we get closer to lock, we'll see if I have a couple of shares. I know the Breece Hall is popping in some
Heard me, man. That's my guy. I like that guy quite a bit. And I actually think this is a better game script than last week. I'm not, people always like, well, when we get to Kelsey later, all I'm hearing is, oh, he's not going to get 4 touchdowns again. No shit. He's not getting 4 touchdowns. That's very unlikely on 7 catches for 25 yards. You don't necessarily need that, though. Same thing with Breece Hall here. To me, I don't want to get too cute at the position. So to AP's point, but like that's one of the guys I would go to. Mixon, I think with some of the love that's going to the passing game there, we've definitely seen spots where Mixon can get involved. We talked about rookie corners and guys in the Saints secondary there. They could make some big mistakes on a guy like Jamar Chase heading for that end zone. And next thing you know, could be planted at the 1 yard line for a guy like Mixon to just pop a few in. We've definitely seen that in the past. AP, I'm coming back to you, man. By the way, guys, 30 likes shy with 2 minutes to go to hit that fastest 500. So hit that up for us, please. AP, guy, like this is the other discussion, right, on this slate is everybody knows that everyone's playing these guys. You said it already. I agree with you. Like, let's not get too cute. But what about paying up? And then what about the Indy backfield? No Jonathan Taylor, no Nyheim Hines at home against Jacksonville. Deion Jackson's there. Phillip Lindsay, of course. But I think Jackson looks a little bit better. Any love there? And then any love with the guys at the top?
Yeah, I mean, this The problem there is, you most likely do have a true timeshare between Deion Jackson, Philip Lindsay, something we were discussing in the Discord earlier today. Plus, the Colts offensive line just not good. And 5.2K, 4.7K. It's not like, Eno Benjamin is cheaper than both guys. So I can't go there. I guess if you're playing 150, it's a consideration to make because those guys are going to be much lower owned. For me, it's if you go the 3 running back route, you put Stevenson and let's just say Kamara, and then you put Eno Benjamin there in the flex. You do have a decision to make. Like maybe you could evaluate ownership as we're heading into the afternoon window, and you could always switch to like a Rondale Moore if you want. I think both guys are going to be somewhat popular. I think Eno Benjamin is going to get more ownership for sure. So there are pivots that you could make prior to all of this chalk. Elite running backs coming out. I was interested in Jerick McKinnon. I can't get there now. But like the Chiefs are going to use McKinnon more than CEH here in this spot. They trust him against the pass rush. We saw it last week against the Raiders, almost 55% of the snaps. And if they are in a trailing script, they're going to be using him. I think he's only viable in like a 150, like Millie make, the true Millie maker format. Outside of that, it's hard to get off some of these plays. So I think what I'm going to do, probably lock in Stevenson, get overweight on Kamara, and then Eno. He's kind of that third guy that I'm very high on. My other thing that I'm really trying to figure out is what to do with Christian McCaffrey. He was a flag play and play for me last week. The opportunity was there. It was incredible. And, 8.3K, what I have to figure out is what do I need him to do to really, perform well in tournaments for me. And part of that equation is figuring out, what's Ramondre going to do? What's Alvin Kamara going to do? And then plugging all the numbers into Saberson, the optimizer that we use and prefer, and just see what's that kind of ceiling number that I need McCaffrey to get to be viable in tournaments. So that's kind of what I'm going to be figuring out when it comes to roster construction. And then the other thing too, like I really want your guys' thoughts. I think 3 running backs is going to be a popular roster construction path this, today. 4 wide receivers might be this is a really interesting 4 wide receiver route. Just look at the options that we have. I mean, I think Amari Cooper's we're going to get to a receiver, but there's a lot of names out there. So I think it's just a really interesting thing to discuss. I think 3 running backs is viable, but I think 4 wide receivers might get you a little bit more upside on the slate.
Yeah. Also, I'll get to it later when we get to tight end. I never build with 2 tight ends, but this week I am. So if that tells you anything with the Kelsey factor, and if you want to get him into those stacks, again, like I said, a lot of that stuff you're doing is building, like for me, at least in the smaller field, the qualifier stuff, all those things, I have no problem doing that to pack more value in. But like for JT Hayes, you mentioned Coleman, that could be your McKinnon, right? If someone's hand building out that Buffalo Kansas City game and says, okay, you're obviously building it from the perspective that Buffalo is smashing and now Kansas City's coming back. So likely you've got a Josh Allen stack. You've got McKinnon in there. You could then go plug in an Eno Benjamin or something if you wanted, because you're already getting a little bit different in a couple of spots. Maybe McKenzie is in there, and then it allows you to get a one spot where you pay up, or Kelsey and another guy. Like there's just other options that you can go to. Paying up will be different. Different doesn't always mean smart. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. JT Hayes, other guys at the running back position that you want to talk about here? Anybody else you got?
Some people in the chat are mentioning Deion Jackson. I just without these weapons, I just think Indy is going to really struggle to run the ball here against a much improved Jacksonville defense. Matt Ryan has been terrible. So I think that's with all these other guys, I just don't think it's necessary to go there. Only reason why I'm interested in Coleman is like I said, the love from Shanahan. And I think in a trailing script, he'll get some dump offs that could get him to 15, and he's 4-5. So it's like a total punt if you wanted to go with the punt, but the punt running backs who are in great spots from Andre and Eno. And then if you want to go like Chase and then 2 other highly priced wide receivers, I think he fits perfectly. There's some defenses here that are pretty interesting today. AP, I was looking at McCaffrey and I'm like, man, they're going to have to use him, right? He's going to have to be the guy. Robbie Anderson is questionable, but PJ Walker at quarterback, it's ugly in Carolina. The first game without Matt Rule, though, you would have to think he's going to get 25 touches, right? So, I mean, what he does with those touches, he usually does something good. So, I mean, he's a little interesting there because I don't think anybody's going to play him. But really, I mean, outside of those guys, and Tambo, your take on Hall, I'm interested because it's not so much for me that, no, he's not going to get the touchdowns. It's if those touchdowns aren't there and he still gets that, even if it's a 60-40 split with Michael Carter, all these other guys are much better. So yeah. I think, yeah, definitely a tournament play. I just struggle with that game in particular when these other environments are just looking to be so high paced.
Yeah, complete tournament play there. I agree. And then the other thing too with CMC, like the chat's talking about dump off season, he's going to get it rolling. Like, I don't even know if 30 from CMC gets you there. It sounds crazy to say, but with the value guys getting it, like if Eno Benjamin gets you 20, you're 30 from $8,300 CMC ain't no good. Unless, again, there's ways it could work together. My point being though, if then the other, it's all if then scenarios, but I'm just saying, keep in mind, that's the case, right? You never know what's going to happen there. Also, someone mentioned in the chat, one of two things can happen. Don't forget about the trade rumors with CMC that are for pretty legit reasons, right? They're through their money with him. Like, it makes sense to move him and to go to a contender and all these factors for people to swoop in and pick him up. Sometimes they feature that. With CMC, you don't need to feature that. They already know what he is. Like in other sports, you'll see it in basketball, right? NBA, where they'll feature a guy and all of a sudden it's his night to take 20 shots, hope that he balls out. And then the other teams are like, all right, we like what we've seen. We'll move there. Even then it's kind of fishy because people know what these guys are. So I don't know. It is a little bit harder to pay up for me. The guy I like up there, and I'm not going too far up the board, but the last couple for me, Joe Mixon, who I mentioned earlier. I think it's, again, we got the LSU narratives of Burrow Chase. We got Lattimore out. It makes sense. I get it. I'm saying that you can easily see that situation where it leads to, oh, Mixon again. Don't act like you're not going to see that in Discord today. You're going to see it. You're not going to see it, though, if you're not a member at RunPureSports. So get over to RunPureSports.com. Get signed up. We've got tons of winners. 3 weeks in a row with main course hitting off the Sunday slate. You can get those today where we're putting out our main plays for you to build a lineup around. We've got the playbook there, the cash charts, the heat maps, everything that gives you the other plays to help you fill it in with thoughts and ideas around how you can build. And then, of course, we're in that Discord talking strategy, taking questions all the way up to lock. If you aren't a member yet and you can't become a member for whatever reason, you're just enjoying the free show, that's where the likes come in. Guys, setting the number up now, 750 is the number. We're at almost 550 with almost 1,200 watching. Big T, Hoop, Crain, the Morning Wood is all going to be coming up next. All three now with Hoopster hitting a couple weeks ago, winning the Millionaire Maker, talking all things tournaments, breaking it down game by game for you. 750 likes. I believe also Hoop is going to be giving away some more tickets, sharing those millies that he's got. So hit the likes now. Get us to that 750 number. AP, I want to ask you one more thing at running back, and then we'll move on quickly here. But some talk around Keontae Ingram instead of Benjamin because he's the backup there. And then Pierre Strong is $2,000 less than Ramondre Stevenson, ran a very fast 40. And on top of that, it is the Patriots and Bill Belichick still. Is there any thoughts of using those guys like how people were using Herbert when Montgomery was chalked the week he got injured? Any thoughts there?
I mean, I don't know. That feels like you're getting a little too cute.
Too cute?
Like I would rather play like a Jerick McKinnon in a game script that is very likely to play out, you know, where he's the trusted guy than kind of take a guess on what Keontae Ingram or that other guy are going to do.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Let's go to wide receiver then. We'll talk about it. We've got Lockett, $5,600. Again, like I said, this game, they just did not move prices. So this is where you're going to see even Metcalf has creeped up in ownership because we saw it last week with Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson to talk what we were talking before, where everyone thinks they know the guy. What ends up happening is then it slowly creeps together. And in their case, it ended up the same. Here, I don't think that's going to be the case because Lockett is much cheaper and you need the savings. But Lockett, Diggs, Rondale Moore, Godwin, and then Jamar Chase and Metcalf are really creeping up. So what are your thoughts here, AP? Who are you liking and what are we going to do instead?
Yeah, starting with this Bills-Chiefs game, like why I think we're going to see points. I mean, man, Rashad Fenton's been really good, cornerback for Kansas City, you know, much improved. And now Jalen Watson, their seventh round rookie, is going to be in there. You know, Trent McDuffie, who was, you know, I think their first round pick. He practiced this week, but they did not bring him up. You know, activate him off of IR. So they're very thin in the secondary position. And we saw what Gabe Davis did to this team. So L'Jarius Sneed, he's their guy. He's their, like, you got to think that they're going to try to take away Diggs. That's what Kansas City has always liked to do. So it's going to open things up for Gabe Davis, Isaiah McKenzie, maybe even a little Dawson Knox. So I have a ton of interest in Gabe Davis. I do think he's going to get steamed up a little bit just with the game that he had last week. But the other thing too is Spagnuolo is going to want to bring he's going to want to limit Josh Allen's time. Like, he's not going to want to give him time in the pocket. So he's going to be very aggressive, and I think they're going to be okay with giving up that the big play. So I think we're going to see some big plays. I think we're going to see a lot of points. And so I think you have to have some interest in both Steph Diggs, but my preference is Gabe Davis. And then it's, man, Tyler Lockett, his price goes down. Like, DraftKings, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, literally fully asleep at the wheel. I don't get it. It's crazy how good this Seahawks defense or offense has been. So yeah, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, both very good plays. Cooper Kupp, I was on him last week. The problem with Kupp is that 9.7K price tag, and we have so many other guys in very good spots, high ceiling spots, to where it's like, you need Cooper Kupp to put up like 40 plus to really burn you. I mean, Tammy, you talk about this all the time. So that's like my one problem with Cooper Kupp. You were even trying to talk me out of it last week, and I should have listened.
It's like the CMC situation. He's like the new CMC, but it's price challenged, right? When he's 9,700, you'd probably need 40 to really see it be on the optimal or be there when you've got these other guys. And then on top of that, he's outside of the popular game stack. So it's like, even if you can find a way to make it work, it's good in maybe like a smaller field where you want to lock in some points and rack it up. But even then, you might not need to.
So yeah, my last thing here, before we kick it over to the JTAs, Jamar Chase, with how like T Higgins banged up last week, obviously game time decision questionable, not looking that good. Tyler Boyd, I don't know. He is what he is. Like, I don't think he's that good. I think Jamar Chase is kind of in that Justin Jefferson role this week. I think we could see a monster game, like 16 plus targets potentially. I think this is an absolute explosion spot. So the debate becomes, I can get a 2K savings, take Jamar Chase. There's a decent chance, if he has that game that we all think he could potentially have, that he could meet a Cooper Kupp. He could, score the same amount of points as a Cooper Kupp or even a Stephon Diggs. And we take that savings and we apply it elsewhere. So a lot of really interesting spots at the wide receiver position. I think, hopefully a guy like Chase, hopefully he's not getting steamed up, because I have a ton of interest in him. And then, as far as the Bills go, I have more interest in Gabe over Stephon Diggs this week.
Yeah, I think Chase is definitely getting steamed up, but keep in mind, if Chase, like the chat's talking about, Chase is going nuts there, guy Daniel, I think so. I mean, it looks like a good spot, but keep in mind, if he goes nuts, Burrow likely goes nuts. So how do you thin it out? Burrow's way less owned at quarterback. A guy like Hayden Hurst, still questionable, but assuming he plays, you can have like a Burrow, Chase, Hurst stack, and then you plug in the value of Kamara on the other side, or a Traquan Smith, Marquez Callaway, something like that, where you're stacking up the game that not many are on. And if one thing happens, then the other likely does as well. That could be the spot where you're going to be after it again. The chat is really begging for Taysom Hill. I can't wait till Big T comes on, get his takes. I know on DraftKings, 5,100 at quarterback, you could do it, but maybe in like some qualifiers or something, you play him and a couple guys, but it's tough to get there. JT Hayes, I'll go to you here. Wide receiver, almost at the 600 likes, guys, pushing 4,750, like we said, for the plays of the day. 1,300 watching. We can do it. JT Hayes, let's go to wide receiver, man. What do you got?
Yeah, we talked about in this Bills game, the Davis and McKenzie that I like. It's very easy to get to some of these other wide receiver ones. Mike Evans against the Pittsburgh secondary that is just not only all hurt, but even when they're healthy, they aren't playing all that well. In that game in Seattle, Tyler Lockett had a hamstring issue midweek. He's going to play, but hamstrings I always get a little bit concerned about. I like Metcalf here. Half the ownership, it looks like, of Lockett, just about 13%. To Lockett's nearly 30% ownership. So I like him if I'm stacking him, or even if I'm not stacking him. On the other side, Rondale Moore in that game is just 4.2. So I like him quite a bit. The wide receiver one for the Packers against the Jets, Alan Lazard, is a little bit too cheap here at just 6K flat. I know that Rodgers has that thumb issue, but think he can still get it over to Lazard. On the Chiefs side, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, 4.5K, looks a little bit too cheap. I don't even know if you need to go down a 4-5 at wide receiver this week, the way it lays out, but I think he's an option there. And Adam Thielen, I know everybody loves Justin Jefferson. I do too, but Adam Thielen at 5.2 on DraftKings against the Dolphins just seems way too cheap for that matchup. I think the Dolphins will try and put some additional attention to Justin Jefferson, and that means that Adam Thielen could be in a position to smash that price point. There's a couple of other guys, but those are the guys. And Jamar Chase, of course, I'm with you 100% on Jamar Chase. He's probably a guy that, with the way that game shapes up, it's a guy that I might be close to locking in all my lineups.
Yeah, I've got a lot. I'll come back to you, AP, in a second here, but I'm going to give a few off the chalk plays because, again, how you play those guys up top, do whatever you want. Usually it's going to be an overstacks or mixed into those builds that we talked about. But going down, like Marquise Brown continues to get little to no ownership versus the other guys in his range in that game that you talked about. I'm with AP on Gabe Davis. I like that one quite a bit. Jacoby Myers, another guy, gets no play. He's the perfect leverage play off of Ramondre Stevenson if they end up doing it through the air. Keep in mind, too, we didn't talk about like Chubb because of the price, but Cleveland still has a great O-line, and New England is not that good against the run. This game could go the other way and flip, and so I could definitely see it again. Maybe it doesn't mean you need Chubb because it could be Hunt or it could be something else that happens, but if they get that ground game going, we could see the passing game be a little bit more prevalent on the way back. So Jacoby Myers stands out. Someone in the chat mentioned Mike Evans, like him quite a bit. Interestingly enough, like the Godwin ownership is there because it's $900 less, and there's injuries and all these things go into it. But if you look at, go back to Mike Evans, it's like 8 for 10 games that he's just been an absolute stud, been incredible. So going to him. Another little one, AP, before I come to you, is Zay Jones and or Christian Kirk in that Indy game. I know Deontay Jackson was talked about earlier at the running back position, but Alec Pierce is another guy. They've got Pittman's there. Like, no one's playing these guys. If you wanted a mini stack from that game, I wouldn't hate going back and forth. And then JT has mentioned, I actually like Romeo Doubs. I think if you played Breece Hall and Doubs, that's a really good secondary correlation where it could happen and work out. Devin Duvernay was brought up in the chat earlier. I think, again, if you're stacking Lamar, Duvernay is great with Bateman out. Lamar, Duvernay, Andrews, pick your guy. Slayton or Wan'Dale Robinson looks like he's going to be in today too, 3,600. You could go to him, but AP, other guys at the wide receiver position that you like.
Yeah, so like in the Kansas City game, Marquez Valdez-Scantling is kind of becoming the trusted guy there with Mahomes. Like Juju Smith, he can't get open. Like anytime Mahomes tries to get him the ball, like he's forcing targets there and he's always covered. So he's kind of like Allen Robinson in the way, just the guy's like never open. And so it's MVS. And then the other guy, I mean, man, we're going to see a lot of McCole Hardman. I don't like it at all, but we're going to see him. They're going to use him, and they're going to try to get him the ball too. I like the Alec Pierce call. I think he's just kind of good, and I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball here. And Michael Pittman he's going to get all the attention on the defensive side. So, I mean, Alec Pierce, another value that we can go to. I think Amari Cooper is interesting. So the Patriots are going to be without Jonathan Jones, one of their better cover corners. They still got Jack back there, who's I think he's a rookie, but he's been pretty good this year. So I think it's going to be Donovan Peoples-Jones or Amari Cooper here that goes off. So if you want a Millie Dart 3.9K, Donovan Peoples-Jones, I think is really interesting. Obviously the Browns might just pound the rock here. Their offensive line is really good. You do see them take shots down the field. And if DPJ has those shots, has the air yards, I mean, he could have himself a day. He's going to be like 0.5% owned too. So and like how I see myself getting different on this slate, eating a bunch of chalk and then throwing in some random like plays like that are going to be very, very low owned, but got to make sure that they have the upside. And in this matchup, in the right game script with the injuries that I'm seeing, I do think that the upside and potential is there.
Yeah, and real quick, because the chat's talking a lot about the Amari Cooper thing. I like it. And first of all, if you're playing Ramondre Stevenson, and we said it's good chalk, we like it, you can go there, then the other side of it would be, how do you get different with it? That would be to play the secondary stack. Peoples-Jones, 3,900, or Amari Cooper, only 5,900. Jack talked in the chat, like they're good at man, so they're going to cover him off. But again, there's no guarantee of that. Remember, I said it already. Their run defense is not good. Bill Belichick wants to shut down the number one. You may think it could be Amari Cooper, that he decides that's who it is, but they still have to contain other guys. Peoples-Jones, Njoku. My thing is, why wouldn't they try and contain Chubb and at least control that aspect of it? Because if he runs all over them, they're in big trouble with a rookie quarterback, not so much in their pass core that they like to use, like all these other factors, they'd be in bigger trouble. So I think using the secondary stack with Ramondre is a way to just break up some of that chalk. You go Ramondre at that ownership, fine, but then you plug in Peoples-Jones at almost no ownership, that's quickly breaking it up. Where again, if you saw that winner at the end of the day, it might be filled with a bunch of other chalk, but those are two value plays that make sense and correlate. And people are like, oh, that's such an easy lineup. But you didn't play DPJ, you weren't going there. So you have to think like that to put it all together to find a way to be able to get different. Yeah, Zachary, no one can stop Chubb. It's true. I said try and stop him. That's what I think they should try and do, but it could be tough, and he could surprise a lot of people today at 8,200 on DraftKings. JT Hayes, anything else you want to talk about at wide receiver, or else we got to get to tight end?
Yeah, just one thing on Peoples-Jones, because I like him as well. 16 targets his last two games. And when you talk about Belichick, I think he is going to focus on Chubb, but I also think they're going to put focus on Cooper. And you see this consistently when teams play the Patriots. It's that third guy, the fourth guy that usually has some decent production just because the other guys are shut down by the Patriots. So I've got Peoples-Jones as a guy in my pool that I'll probably be way, way over the field on because of this matchup and the usage that he's getting with Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, and the price is good, right? Like you said. So
price is amazing.
Right, we're 100 likes away from the plays of the day. We've got tight end and defense to wrap up, about 14 minutes till we get to those. So if you guys are just joining us now, almost 1,400 watching. We appreciate all you waking up early with us on this fine Sunday morning for a beautiful week 6 that we have ahead. Do us a favor, hit that like button. JT, I'll stick with you, man. Higbee, Andrews, Ertz, those are the guys sort of sitting above the top just based on the fact that their price is good, right? 2 of them are under 5K in Ertz and Higbee. Andrews, the talk all week it makes sense, but that's why he's getting there, is that he's cheaper than Kelsey. That little bit of money, I mean, it's $800. It does save you enough. I think they could actually come closer together than we see. Like right now, we're seeing almost 20 on Andrews, 15 to 20 range, and we're seeing like a 5 to 10 range on Kelsey. But I'll tell you this, it is very hard to build a nice Kelsey lineup. And I know others are struggling with it. That's why they're just going down to Andrews. And then in their head, they're validating by saying, it's also different. I'm not going with the same way, but it's actually the opposite. People aren't getting to these Allen, Kelsey, Diggs lineups very easily. It's very tough to get to when you actually build it out. Go ahead, JT Hayes, tight end. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I think my top guy here is Zach Ertz. Bunch of targets now that he's fully healthy. Played 2 games against the Seattle team last season and scored 20 fantasy points in both of those games. So you tell me he's going to get 20 fantasy points. I like that quite a bit. Seattle giving up the second most amount of fantasy points to opposing tight ends. You guys mentioned Hayden Hurst. I like him here with Higgins likely to be either questionable, out, what have you. Higbee is interesting, even though he's going to be higher owned. Cooper Kupp did have a foot issue this week at practice. They say there's no doubt he's going to play, but if he's even a little bit compromised, it's going to be Higbee that gets a few extra targets and not any of these other dusty wide receivers that the Rams went and picked up. So I like them. And then we know that Tom Brady likes targeting the tight end. He's done it no matter who the tight end is. Cameron Brate is back, 3.3K. Tambo, you were liking Tom Brady a little bit. And I think if you like him a little bit, then you have to like Cameron Brate at that price point as well as a pivot off of some of these guys.
Yeah, he's interesting. I actually, surprisingly enough, plugged in some Cade Otton. I always have no problem going back to the guy from the week before. And yeah, everyone else will play it differently because they'll say now that Brate's back, he's dead. I don't think so. I think they like him. I think he's good. I think they might still go to him. So in some of those Brady stacks, I got no problem to throw off the price a little bit and get the ownership down a little bit where you can set it up that way. Again, you can go Brady, Fournette, Evans, Otton, and Godwin gets into the mix. But again, Godwin's way more popular. Those other guys, if you have Brady, Fournette, and one of Otton or Evans, to me, that's like the whole end zone when they get down there. Do we think they're going to score TDs today? Absolutely. So I think that's the way that you can go about it there. Couple other guys for me, Zach Gentry going down. This guy is another guy, 2.6K, just unlocks a ton of value. You can work him into your secondary stacks with a guy like Fournette to get off the Brady stacks, or if you want to mix in with your Godwin or Evans, where you can get a cheap guy to balance it out and lower the ownership. I think he's an interesting option. And then I'll save my other one for last. AP, I'll let you roll here at tight end. Go ahead, man. But I got a couple more. Do you like Kyle Pitts? Let me start with that.
Oh, can I just like plead the fifth and just like, I don't like, yeah, I don't want to, like hamstring issues. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I can't get, I don't think I can get there. Look at JT Hayes. He's just going to make fun of me and hurt my feelings if I talk about Kyle Pitts.
I'm very excited because I just sold my tickets to the Falcons game and I got more. I mean, this game is surprisingly popular here. So someone is going to sit in my seat and watch Kyle Pitts run wind sprints all day today. And it's not going to be me. So I'm excited.
Not so like I think we need one of these elite tight ends, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, Higbee, Ertz. Like I think JT Hayes hit the nail on the head. I think we need a good amount of points from our tight end. I mean, Travis Kelce has had his way with the Bills. And if you just look at it, that's how they're going to have to, like, that's Mahomes' guy. 24 DK points, 18, 39.8, 22.5. He has 6 touchdowns against the Bills when Mahomes is the quarterback. That's looking at the last 4 games that they've played, regular season and playoffs. It's kind of a BVP take, but it is what it is. Like, I mean, I got 7,800 too, which should help to cap ownership a little bit, especially with Mark Andrews at 7K. So I really like Kelce, obviously. I like Andrews, Higbee, and Ertz. I think for me, that's where I have to stay. I did take a look at Zach Gentry. We have so much value on the slate. I don't know that we need to go there. Like, I don't think that you need to punt on this slate, and you're giving up a lot if you do. I mean, he could put up a really bad game relative to everyone else on the slate. So for me, I'm going to stick with the studs here: Andrews, Kelce, Higbee, and Ertz.
Yeah, one thing I will say on that, because I like Zach Gentry, and here's why. You may not need the value, but if he puts up 10 points or 12 points at that price tag, and everyone else has $3,800 Slayton or $3,600 Wan'Dale Robinson or Peoples-Jones, and they don't come through for you, it's another $1,300, and it actually allows you to play a guy like Kelce in the flex. That's why I said earlier you could play 2 tight end. I think it's hard to get to Kelce. He's a way to make it work, and you're saying Kelce is a wide receiver 1. You just said it. He is. And again, back to my original point on Kelce, like, we know he's not getting 4 touchdowns, guys. I'll say it again. Like, we get it. It's not the point, right? You're going to need points at this tight end position today. So my guys are like Kelce, Mark Andrews, George Kittle. I want to get your thoughts on this, JT Hayes, because here's the thing. I was wrong last week. Another one, Big T dropped the ball bag on me on this one, but he did start the game out 4 for 43 on the very first drive of the game. It ended in a fumble. For whatever reason, he didn't come back. What Big T and JSU and myself discussed on the Tuesday show, the review show we do here on this channel, if you haven't yet, hit subscribe, you get all those free shows, was that Big T said it, and it's true, you need a close game. And we said this will not be the close game. But the more I look at it, like, the line hasn't really changed. We got that home dog, Atlanta. We actually have a bit of a look-ahead spot possibly for San Francisco playing Kansas City next week, right? West Coast team playing on the East Coast. I'm just wondering if you think there's any way that Atlanta, and by the way, Atlanta's covered the spread in every single game this season so far, and it's only 5.5 points. Any thoughts, JT Hayes, on Atlanta being able to keep this thing at least close? Because then I think you could see some points out of Kittle, a guy that can put up 25 points. Go ahead.
Yeah, the line has actually moved in Atlanta's favor. Atlanta's given up the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. And I actually think the Falcons defense is sneaky here. 2,500 on DraftKings. And I think when you see Kittle at 5-1, he hasn't done anything. I do think this is a trailing script, which means Garoppolo's going to be throwing. And I think you got a good chance to get Kittle targeted here. I think Kittle will get a lot of those balls. I think the Falcons defense will get 1 or 2 of those balls. So I like Kittle a bit here.
Yeah, a week ahead is what I'm going to try and be. The next week's game definitely looks a lot better when they play Kansas City, where they have to, be throwing and coming from behind and whatnot. But here, I could see it, man. I really could. So I think that it's a spot. They struggle against the tight end. There's definitely an opportunity here. Guys, 1,500 watching. We're almost at the 50-50. That's what we want to see. 705 likes. We need to swap the 0 and the 5 to the 5 and the 0 to make it 750. Let's go to defense, AP. If there's nothing else at tight end that you want to talk about, we can move to defense quick here. We got about 7 minutes left.
My only last comment, like Tambo, like the double tight end on this slate for me seems very difficult to get to with all of the elite running back plays that we have, all of the elite wide receiver plays, because by doing that, like I get what you're doing. I get what you're saying. I just don't know if we need to go there, and it seems like you're sacrificing quite a lot. But it all just depends. If Kelsey puts up that game, or if Andrews puts up that game, and then if your punt does what you need him to do, then it's a different story.
To be clear, because you actually make the best point, but to be clear, I'm literally I turned it off in my MME set. I'm only doing it in sort of the higher dollar, smaller field stuff. I'm only doing it with 2 tight ends. It's only with Gentry and Kelsey. It's clearly to attack that game and find a way to make it work so I can still make the rest of it shoot together perfectly. But you're right. Otherwise, it's really tough to go that route. But that's just so everyone gets the full details on it. AP defense, Carolina versus LA, cheapest defense on the slate and against the Rams. It's been a thing. We just saw it. I personally don't think it's the same as Dallas last week because Carolina is not Dallas. And I believe they're without JC Horn as well, who's a big piece of their defense. So there is that. And then people are actually seemingly paying up the rest of the way. It looks like the Rams, the Bucks, and then you get those mid tiers with like the Jags, the Bengals, the Colts, the Saints. What are you doing here at this defense position?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the same. Obviously, Cowboys defense is incredible, and I should have just locked them in last week, but I got too cute, faded the chalk there. Obviously, it hurt. Man, just this offensive line is so bad. Stafford has no time, like absolutely zero time. So I do think they're in consideration. I like cheap defenses. Another rule of mine is I hate paying $4K for a defense. Like I don't. Even against PJ Walker here, like I'm really hesitant to play the Rams. You have to think that they're going to scheme kind of an easy game plan for him to protect him a little bit, which, you'd think reduce the opportunities for, pick sixes, scoop and scores, etc. So I think the Panthers are fine. I just playing on the fact that hopefully they can sack Stafford like every other team has. How many times has this guy been sacked? Do you guys know off the top of your head? I mean,
I don't have it in front of me, but it's a lot.
and then, so, I mean, to round it out, like I had some interest in the Saints, but I don't know if I can get there too with how they're banged up. If Joe Burrow goes off, if he has that game like that we think he could have with Chase, I can't go to the Saints. Like that doesn't feel good at all. So I don't know. I'm probably going to end up playing a lot of the Panthers, but this is one of those days where I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to watch the next show. I'm going to watch the Up to Lock show with JSU Holden, and I'm going to see what everyone else's takes are and adjust there. Like I don't feel like I have a good read on which defense is the optimal this week. So I find myself defaulting to the Panthers 2.4K, which right now I'm okay with.
Yeah, our guy Snyder in the chat. Yes, and Snyder, of course, stands for sharp. He says another way to do it. Again, it's for that same game. But if you go to Knox, who's back doing things, and you had Knox and Kelsey, you're in that same game stack, and he's $800 more than Gentry. So you can definitely find that money. I like that call. I'm going to play around with it when I get off here. I think that's, again, another way you could go about it. Back to defense, though, JT Hayes, I'll go to you. What are your thoughts here? Like Carolina Panthers, talk on them first, because they make things work. I get why people go there. It's obviously makes sense, but it's funny. Like I said, I just looked it up. So JC Horn looks to be out. The Saints have no Lattimore. They're getting steamed up. Like these defenses are in okay spots against where other teams had success, but it doesn't mean that they will. So what are you doing here at defense?
Yeah. So my thought process on the Panthers is I just see them being on the field so much that I think they're going to get gassed here just because I don't think the Panthers are going to be able to move the ball at all. So when you think about it from that perspective, I don't like the Panthers as much. Teams I like, let's start with the defenses against bad quarterbacks. And why don't we start with the Jacksonville Jaguars against Matt Ryan? I mean,
yes, sir.
It hurts me to say because Matt was great for Atlanta for so long, but I like him quite a bit. I think you can play Cincinnati's defense against whatever the hell the Saints are going to have to do today. So I think they're in play a little bit. And like I said, I like the Falcons here. Defenses against bad quarterbacks and bad quarterbacks on the road. The Falcons against Jimmy Garoppolo. I think they're in play. Like I said, the line has moved towards Atlanta. Tambo, you talked about it. Maybe a look ahead game. And I think for 2,500 and just 3K on FanDuel, I've plugged the Falcons in a couple of lineups that look very, very nice.
God, I love you right now. This is what I'm saying. Jags are the top of my chart.
Yep.
Like you said, you're trying to figure out Deontay Jackson and Phillip Lindsay with that line and Matt Ryan. Why don't you just play the D against them? So again, it'll get some late steam because others are thinking the same way. Don't care. It's not enough. It's not like it's still similar to the others, but it's an actual good spot. So I like that. I like the opposite D. I don't think Trevor Lawrence has shown us anything special. We talked earlier how you could use some of those guys, but I do think that's interesting. I love the Falcons call that you brought up. They're the $100 pivot at home. The line's moving more in their favor. It still is Jimmy G. The only thing I hate about it is Jimmy G gets rid of that ball quickly and like he'll waste a down plenty of time. He just throws it away. You don't get the free sack or anything like that out of him. He just gets rid of it. So it's tougher, but I do think it's an interesting spot. And then my guy Alex in the chat, he said, you got to like the Giants defense. Here's the thing about the Giants D. It's Wink Martindale going against Lamar. He knows at least a little something. Got to give the guys some of the tendencies. Come on. And then on top of it, if you're not using Andrews, who's popular, and Lamar's whatever, but you're not going to have Andrew or Lamar in this lineup, but using them would not be that bad. They're 2,600. You get them in that spot. It kind of makes sense when you think about it because you'd be leveraging up against those non-Andrews lineups and getting a team that may know the quarterback a little bit better than you think based on their coach that they have. They're able to get after him that way. So I like some of those calls. I like the Bengals. Again, why are we playing what was the chalk? Why are we playing the Saints against Cincy with Burrow, Jamar Chase, no secondary, when you can play the Bengals against New Orleans, who have nobody there? Like they've got Kamara, Taysom, and Andy Dalton. So I don't know, man. I think that's sort of what I'm looking at for this slate. AP, anything else you want to add before we got to get to our plays of the day? We just hit 750.
No, I like that Falcons call at home, 2,500. Only 100 more than a chalkier Panthers defense. So, yeah, I think I'm going to be with JT Hayes on the Falcons defense.
And Bucks D pay up spot. I do like that. Obviously, Pickett. They're letting him chuck. That's the benefit of that spot is it's not like a backup where they're seeing like, how can we make this easier? They want to see what he has. AP, are you ready for your play of the day?
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to there's so much like chalk. Like we don't want to give away like an easy play. You know what I mean? Like this is the off the chalk show. So I think I'm gonna go with a true Millie Maker dart. No promise that he's on my main team. Okay. No, we try to be very transparent here. I still got my bills to do. So don't hold me to it, but I'm gonna play him. I promise you that. I'm gonna play him. I'm gonna go with DPJ, Donovan Peoples-Jones, 3,900. I think he's going to get 105, like 6 catches, 105 and a tutty. That's what I'm going with.
I love it. That's definitely off the chalk. It's definitely unique. I'm going to give mine before I go to you, JT Hayes, then I'll get us out of here after. But I'm going with Joe Mixon. Talked about it, all the conversation around it. I'm playing some Burrow stacks, but I actually have quite a bit of exposure to Joe Mixon here. Like I said, I think there's going to be opportunities. You could put it with that Cincy D. If you wanted that we just talked about, you can play it instead of Jamar Chase. You can stack Burrow, Mixon, and Jamar Chase if you want to get it into a lineup and just hope that they pound them in that dome, run it back with some of the value plays that we have on the other side with one of those value wide receivers or Troutman at tight end. There's other guys that you can use in that game to stack it up, but I think Mixon could fall into at least 2 touchdowns today. JT Hayes, I'll go to you. What do you got for your play of the day?
Yeah, I like it. First, this isn't my play of the day, but someone asked in chat, Tevin Coleman, if the Niners get a lead. No, Tevin Coleman, if you expect the Niners to be playing from behind, because if they get a lead, it's going to be Jeff Wilson. Yeah. But at 10% on, I can't believe I'm going to get this guy at 10% on. I am ecstatic. I am giddy. I am 6 to midnight. Mike Evans against the Pittsburgh secondary at 10%. Are you fucking kidding me? Mike Evans is the Eiffel Tower play of the day.
I can't wait to clip that one out after the game because I do think he's going to have a big game. I talked about it. You guys can see. If you're not a RunPureSports member, get over there now. Cores are up. Hint, hint. But thank you guys so much. We crushed it. We hit the 750. Keep it rolling. We're up to 1,600 watching. We've got Morningwood up next, 6 to midnight. Crain. We've got Big T, and we've got Hoop. Stick around for that. For AP, for JT Hayes, for myself, Toe Tag and Tambo, the man behind the scenes, Simon. Simon, get us out of here, man. What's up, guys? Tambo here with your Week 5 core report. Coming off a huge week 4 where our guy Hoop shipped for $1 million, week 5 was yet another busy one with our experts and members shipping left and right. Last Monday, RPS was all over the leaderboard, chopping the big Monday Night Football DraftKings showdown contest. AP, Hoop, Statlers, Adam GQ6, and BX Boom all shipped the first place prize for $5,900 each. Humacom also hit that night, chopping first in several contests for $8,700. Later on in the week, Uncle T continued his heater, shipping for $11K in MLB. JT Hayes also hit for $20K in MLB. But our biggest hits came on the Sunday Week 5 main slate, where Big T continued his heater, hitting on his FanDuel core. Tony's core featured Josh Allen, Jeff Wilson, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Khalil Shakir, and Pat Freiermuth. By taking the discount with Shakir and going cheap at running back, Tony was able to round out his lineup, adding Gabe Davis for the double stack, as well as Raheem Mostert and the Patriots D, shipping Big T over $128,000 for the weekend. The Tone Dog was not alone, as our members rode that core to some big hits as well. C. Tangretti turned $21 into $1,800. DFS Dad hit for $8,800. Drew C.A. won $7,500. Jamie Walsh hit big for $20K. J-Dub 115 joined in with a $21,000 hit, and Kevin Barnhill shipped over $90,000. To top it off, our guy Swint parlayed a $333 ticket given away by Hoop on our live Sunday NFL show into $3,500. And the winning didn't stop there. Kay Fallick joined our free live Sunday Night Football showdown show to lay out his strategy for the Bengals-Ravens game.
It is kicker season. We got the 2 best kickers in the league.
Thank you. Let's go, Kevin.
Get your 3 field goals from McPherson. Get your 2 field goals from Tucker, vice versa. Take your 10 points and go home.
Again, if you're not subscribed to our YouTube page, get it done now. It's easy to do and can actually help you learn how to win. Kay Fallick also called his shot in our premium Discord and used his member-provided game plan to ship $68,000. Our NFL content has been on fire all season, especially our showdown stuff. I myself used my main core for my attack plan on Monday Night Football to cap off a week of winning at RPS with a King of the Beach ticket. Sign up for a RunPureSports membership today and get in on the fun. You have nothing to lose by trying us out. Remember, you're not winning with us, you're watching us win. Until next time, let's keep running pure.
Everybody, happy Sunday and welcome to the Morning Wood over here on Run Pure Sports. I'm Eric Crain. I am joined by a couple Millie Maker winners. We got Big T. Tony, how's your Sunday going?
Good. Always enjoy some Saturday college football over at Run Pure.
Yeah, I saw you enjoying that.
Our guy Bruce is the man. Like, he used to do the content for free by himself for the people. He just loves college football. All the projections, everything you could want, takes care of our members over at Run Pure. Yesterday, I used it and had a couple good slates, so it was fun. A couple of the guys, Mangone, JSU, Uncle T, we were rooting it in. It's always good to get some winners going into Sunday. And then you almost feel like it's a free roll when you get to Sunday. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Like, I actually kind of crushed I won some money in some college football betting and some NHL betting. That's right. Go hockey.
I want grandma's hat's what I want. And one of these weeks you're going to come on with Granny's hat and it's going to spark the momentum.
Hey, I got to rock the Blues gear, man. My Cardinals are out of the playoffs. The Blues started yesterday. You know what's coming the rest of the winter. Hoop, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Doing well. Another big slate here, a good slate. Looking forward to breaking it down. And just a little upset I didn't get the memo on that it's jersey season. Big T wearing the jersey today. Could have got my Renfro going, but maybe mid-show I'll go toss that puppy on for us here.
Just go get it, man. Like,
I only have a couple options. I only have a few options. It's either Renfro or Tom Brady, I believe. So
how do you not have one from the Millie squad? How do you not have a Josh Jacobs is the real question.
Yeah, because I started thinking like, all right, yeah, Josh Jacobs did ultimately get the job done for me, but like, was he really the true? I mean, he was obviously one of the heroes.
He's the true hero. You need a Jacobs.
Okay.
He was like
Jacobs.
He was the 1% guy that you ended up getting at the end.
And he was the late hammer. It's for sure. He's the guy.
Jacobs. All right.
Yeah, it's like when I wanted it's Sanu, when Tony wanted it's Bryson. Like that's just how it is.
That's true.
You know,
I mean, you got it. Last push. Yeah. All right. Maybe it
was a monster push. You're discrediting what he got the job done for you. You got to show respect with that jersey on Sunday mornings.
I know. Yeah, I'm gonna have to order up one of those.
Either that or just put it right between the rings behind you, just in a frame.
That's what I was thinking.
Just the Jacobs, just right there.
You send that proposal to Mrs. Hoop.
I will. I'm going to send it right now. I'm going to send the jersey and tell her to hang it on the wall and mix it in between the hoops.
I will say, talking wives now, got to give props to Mrs. Big T, Amber. You know, the day after winning the Millie, I hit her up. A bunch of family members wanted Run Pure gear. So I sent her an email with my request, and boom, 2 days later at my doorstep. So shout out to Amber. If you want,
I need to do that.
Yeah,
I have no Run Pure gear. I need to get it on. I need to get it going. Like
that, she's the lady for the job.
I mean, we all know,
like right now, ready to go out tomorrow. There's about 8, 9, 10 boxes. She gets it going.
All right, I'm gonna slide into the wife's DMs then later and just see what I can do.
Get on in there and get yourself.
If you want gear, slide into Big T's wife's DMs.
All right, well, guys, if you're enjoying, listen to us talk about Big T's wife's DMs. Do us a favor, click the like button, click the subscribe. Of course, the Morning Wood. We got 3 guys here that have all gotten it done before. We're going to be breaking down this NFL slate for you. And if you click the like button, click the subscribe button, it helps us out quite a bit over here at RunPureSports. So we would really appreciate it. And we would also appreciate talking some winners. We'd also appreciate giving the people what they want. So what do you say, guys? Why don't we go ahead and dive into the slate and figure some stuff out? Does that sound good to you guys?
I'm ready.
Let's roll.
All right. Well, let's kick it off with the Jaguars and the Colts. It's a 41-point total. The Colts, 1.5 favorites at home. And of course, the big news here, there's no Jonathan Taylor. There's no Nyheim Hines, which means it's Deion Jackson season. It's Phillip Lindsay season. I would bet almost anything. Big T's going to try and talk us into Michael Pittman season here coming up. But Hoop, I'm going to start it off with you first. What does the loss of these 2 running backs mean for these Colts?
Well, I mean, it's already a team that, struggles offensively, and then they lose their number one weapon, obviously, in Jonathan Taylor. Typical week, with Taylor out, I think these running backs are more appealing. We just have probably the best value at running back that we've had all season long, which we'll get to throughout the slate. This is a low total game, obviously sitting at 41. And, the problem with even a guy like Pittman on the Colts side is there's some really good wide receiver plays. I mean, this is a loaded up slate offensively, and I just don't know if I want to go to Michael Pittman at his price point in this low total, could be ugly type game. Deion Jackson, he did look pretty good the last time Taylor was out. I don't mind maybe getting a little bit of him, but it's just, you got to start stacking these guys up against the other really good running back plays. And it's just kind of hard to get there. So I'll be out on everyone on the Colts side besides this Alec Pierce guy who looked really good a couple weeks in a row. 9 targets last time out, 8 catches, 81 yards. I know Big T will hate him because he's a white wide receiver, so I'll talk him up. 4.3K, I'm in. On the Jaguars side, just you can't play the running backs here. I think Zay Jones is probably my favorite play at 4.2K. Marvin Jones is out. Not like a core player or anything. Christian Kirk, like if I get some of him, I'm cool with it, but like nothing here stands out. My favorite play in this game by far is Alec Pierce.
Yeah, you mentioned the Jaguars running backs, and last week I was all over Travis Etienne. He did get increased carries. He did get increased targets. He kind of got there, 14.5 points. That's getting there for his price tag. I'm not sure this is the slate for him just because there are so many good value running backs around that price range. But again, if you want a guy at 1% ownership, I don't mind him. Tony, talk to us about this Colts side, because these running backs, I know you're going to want to sprinkle them in. How much are you going to be able to sprinkle them in?
Yeah, so the hard part is what Hoop said, where there's just a bunch of good running back plays. I don't love the price of Deion Jackson, even though he's cheap. He's not. We used to get 4K for these type of plays.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's like the worst because he is cheap still, 5,200, but I don't know. I see it for sure being a split backfield with Lindsey. Lindsey looked pretty good in that Monday night or whatever primetime game it was. They both looked pretty good. I just don't think they love Deion Jackson. They wanted to only run him on special teams pretty much with those other guys in. I can't play Deion Jackson, but maybe I sprinkle a tiny bit of Phillip Lindsay in my 150 just because I don't think anyone's going to play him because everyone kind of thinks it's Deion Jackson. I think it could just as easily be Lindsey, and no one's going to play him. I'm not going to play a ton, not going to be a main team, but a 150 sprinkle because I don't know. They do like to run the ball. I mean, I could see one of these guys having a good game, so I want them in my 150 for sure. Pittman and Pierce are both in play, definitely. They just don't have a lot of weapons, so these guys just have to get a lot of volume. Pierce did look good, like Hoop said. I loved him in the showdown. I think he was the winning Millie maker in the captain in whatever showdown that was. So I like him. And then Jacksonville, the only guy I like is Christian Kirk. Not going to play anyone else. But Kirk at 5,800 continues to be just a solid play. Like if you finish your team with 5,800 Christian Kirk, I think you are doing it just fine.
Yeah, if he's the last guy, I don't mind it. It's just tough.
Yeah, I'm not saying you like jam him in for sure, but
yeah. And he had such a bad game last week. Nobody's going to want to pay 5,800 for him, but he said, I think 7 targets in all of his other games. And in this game, in the dome, I don't mind it. Guys, do us a favor. Click the like button, that big red button on the bottom right corner. That's the subscribe button. Click that for us. It helps us out over here at Run Pure Sports. And I forgot to say, I buried the lead on the last push, guys. If you want our plays of the day, we need to get to 1,300 likes. That's what we got last time. That's what we're pushing for this time. Hoop gave the nod when I said 1,300 likes.
I like that number. I was wondering where you're going with the number, and I think 13 super fair. I really like that number. That's a good call on your part.
Yeah, and if you want Hoops, by the way, I got Hoop 2 weeks ago. You won the Millie. You thanked me for Austin Eckler. I meant to thank you for basically your entire player pool last week because I fired it up in cash games. I actually got top 500 in the Millie with just your cash plays. So
let's roll. Yeah, the cash play has been spot on too. By the way, like we got the cash chart highlighted plays on there, the core plays. Tons of messages from members. The cash plays have just been spot on. And a lot of that has to do with us just continuing to jam Josh Allen in there when others don't.
it was. Hey, you know what? I fired up Brady last week, and you can either go Brady or out. It was just fine either way. All right, let's move on to San Francisco at Atlanta, 45.5 point total. This line is just dropping. And I know Big T, I think you were firing Atlanta quite a bit earlier when they were 5.5. It's all the way down to 4. Tony, I'll start with you, buddy. You like this Atlanta side, right?
You just got a massive reverse line move too, where the public is definitely going to be on San Fran in this spot. It looks easy. It looks super trappy. I said it on the Print Factory when we recorded on Wednesday or Thursday, whatever we did it, Thursday, I guess. And yeah, it just looks super trappy, and the line's going the other direction now. And I've been on Atlanta all year. I don't love this spot, but the line definitely makes me want to take Atlanta. I feel like Atlanta's the sharp side for sure. As far as fantasy, though, I can't really play Debo. I don't love that. Jeff Wilson's price went up from last week. Kittle just hasn't got the usage. I don't know. I just don't feel good about this San Fran side. In Atlanta, I mean, more of the same. Just looking at the prices, you can play Drake London. You can play Pitts. I don't know, like Algiers, Vine, but I don't know. I just don't like anything here. So I guess I'm out on DFS, but I do think Atlanta is a very sharp play betting wise.
I will say that I am going to lose money with tight ends in this game because I've been trying to make George Kittle work. Hasn't worked.
And Pitts.
I have been trying to make Kyle Pitts work. It hasn't worked. And much like we talked about with Gabe Davis last week, I'm just so pot committed at this point. I'm going to keep blasting on these guys. I see Hoop shaking his head in disgust. So,
I'm with Hoop here.
I know. I'm with Hoop too, but I'm so committed at this point.
I know, but trust me, I tried it with Throbby Robbie all last season, and it didn't get me anywhere. So, just it's a good opportunity right now. We can have a heart to heart. Just wash yourself clean of the
I
situation.
understand.
Kittle's not
Help
the
me
same guy. Pitts, he's not the same guy either. I mean, for Kittle to be effective, you really need the Niners to be playing from behind. And I mean, I like him in games where they're not favored, honestly. I think it's very easy with Kittle. In games you expect them to be trailing, you can play them. If they're projected to play with the lead, you just can't do it. And then Pitts, I mean, it sucks. But 4.2K is enticing. I mean, the problem with these two is you're getting the bare minimum price tag. And Kittle, I'd say more on FanDuel. On FanDuel, he's 5.7K. Like if he somehow catches a touchdown, he could be fine. On DK though, I think it's tough to play a guy like Kittle. And then there's just so many good guys. Like there's tight ends actually loaded today. So I don't know. Like definitely not. I'm with Big T though. Overall, I can't really play anyone in this game. The only play for me would be Debo on FanDuel. He continues to have a good price tag over there. And then maybe Kittle at that 5.7K price tag. This does not look like an appealing fantasy game at all.
I think Drake London's too cheap. I will say that. I know the San Francisco defense is intimidating, but Drake London at 5.4, like I am absolutely willing to roll the dice a little bit on that. Tampa at Pittsburgh, 46-point total. Tampa Bay 10-point favorites. You know, I do this show on Friday. That is the news dump. And they got on there and they said, Najee Harris had a steel plate removed from his foot. And Tony, I cannot say how little I give a damn that Najee Harris had a steel plate removed from his foot, because I haven't played this dude all year. I'm not playing the Steelers running game. I assume you're not either, Tony. What are you doing in this spot?
Yeah, I mean, those of you that have watched my content all year know I've trashed Pittsburgh. Even after they beat Cincy week 1, I said they're maybe the worst team in football. Cincy just played terrible. And they haven't won since. They can't block anybody. Why are we ever running a running back that with a team that can't block? Like, what's the point? There's good running backs everywhere. I literally couldn't even imagine playing a guy like that. Like, it's just a terrible, terrible play in my mind. I don't care about the volume. It's just a horrible spot against a good defense. And Tampa needs a win on top of it. Like, it's just a miserable spot. He needs, maybe they should have put another plate in his foot to like give him a little more strength or something. Do it the opposite way, because I'm not on that. I'm not playing freaking Brady either. Let everyone else chase the Brady spot. They're 10-point favorite. I'll just do like I did last week, play Uncle Lenny, and that's it for me. I'm gonna stay away from the passing game. We got runners in high spots like Josh Allen, these different guys, Kyler. Why in the world would I play Tom freaking Brady at 45 years old? Just miserable. I hope people play this game. Not going to be on it. I will be on Lenny, though, just because if you don't play Brady, I think you should play Lenny, or at the very least play the other running back as a total stab or something. But leverage off Brady, nothing from Pittsburgh. Actually, I take that back because I do want to play a little bit of Pickens every week. How much is he this week? He is
4,600. He's affordable.
I just think he is a total stud. So I'm going to play a little bit of him every week. So that's where I'm at here.
How does Pittsburgh do it? They always just find these freaking receivers drafted in the 3rd or 4th round, and they're always just studs. It happens.
They have good like players too. When you look at their roster, like they have good players. They just have zero blocking. So it doesn't matter.
They have no blocking and Kenny Pickett. That's not a great recipe for success. Hoop, with this matchup last week, Chris Godwin was kind of the chalk. He got there enough. You know, he didn't crush it, but he didn't get you crushed. What are you doing in this spot?
Yeah, mostly in agreement with Big T. I prefer to get exposure to the Bucs is through Leonard Fournette and not necessarily the passing game. I will have some Godwin. I'll probably have some Brady. I'll play maybe 5 or 6 quarterbacks today. Brady will be one of them, just mostly because of how much I like Godwin. I think Godwin, I mean, you look at it, yeah, he was super popular last week, didn't really get there. But man, I think he's close to like breaking a slate. You know, he has massive upside, just a high floor play. So I like Godwin, which will get me some Tom Brady. But Fournette's the guy I like. Now running back is it's the most loaded running back's been all season. There's no denying that. If I am getting away from any of those cheapish type running backs, Leonard Fournette's my favorite. Absolutely love him in the spot. So in on Fournette on the Steelers side. I'll play some Deontay Johnson on those Tampa Bay teams. And then Zach Gentry, full punt tight end with Freiermuth out 2.6K. I'll be in on him too. I mean, playing a 2.6K tight end, like we always talk about it, not necessarily what he does, but what he allows you to get. He allows you to get a lot this week. So in on Gentry, and then, Godwin and Fournette on the Bucs side.
Guys, if you're enjoying this show, do us a favor. Click the like button. Click the subscribe button, the big red button over here on your right-hand side. Helps us out over here on Run Pure Sports. And guys, we're giving you this show for free. Least you can do is give us a like. We'd appreciate it, everybody. But we're trying to get to 1,300 likes today. That's going to get you our plays of the day. And our plays of the day have been absolutely lit, as the kids say. So go ahead and click that like and subscribe button. Let's move on to the Patriots and Browns. 43-point total. Cleveland, 2.5-point favorites at home. And Hoop, I'm going to start with you because we've got massive chalk with Ramondre Stevenson here. No Damian Harris for the Patriots. Chalk Ramondre, what do you think?
Yeah, he's one of these running backs in a really good spot. I mean, he's kind of been in play lately with Damian Harris in the mix. Well, Damian Harris is now out, and it appears, Stevenson is going to get probably as much work as he can handle. They're not afraid, obviously, to give him the work. You look at last week, 25 carries, 2 receptions as well. So it has just a very, very high floor, very fair price tag. Very strong play. I mean, he's going to be popular. I don't care. It's just one of these running backs I think you just have to play. If they're playing with any sort of lead, you can count on him getting 20+ touches, which is very nice. Jacoby Myers somehow had a big game last week, 7 for 110 and a touchdown.
I ain't chasing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's it does feel like a trap to go back to him for sure. On the Browns side, I'm not really playing anyone on the Browns at a high clip. I mean, maybe some Njoku potentially, but can't play Chubb with all these running back plays. So really, long story short, it's going to be Ramondre Stevenson on the Patriots side. He's going to be popular. He'll be one of the highest owned guys on the slate, but the workload is tough to ignore.
What about you, Tony? Are you eating the chalk Ramondre?
I am definitely not eating the chalk with Ramondre. I think he's actually one of the worst tournament plays I've ever seen in my life. Like, he's going to be astronomically owned on a slate where we have tons of running backs that I think can match him or beat him. And I'm not even totally sold that he gets all the work. They've always liked multiple running backs. I just think he's a horrific play at 35 to 50%. I mean, high stakes, he's going to be 50% owned. I just can't physically imagine playing. This game's going to play super slow. It's going to be a defensive battle, ugly. I love weeks like this. 50% of the field are going to play a New England running back thinking they know what the volume is. Have we ever known what the volume is in New England? Half the field could be dead in no time. Only in tournaments, obviously. If you're playing cash, if you're playing he's the best play of the slate as far as that. Volume, projection, everything, he's the best play. But when you get to tournaments where we want to win first place, I just literally can't. He won't be on any of my teams today, guaranteed. So I think he's a terrible play. I think this game plays super, super slow. And I definitely don't want any Cleveland guys either. I'm rooting for a 10-7 game here, and I think we get it, honestly. Both teams want to run. Both teams want to play slow. I don't understand why he's going to – I get it because there's 2 running backs. Now there's 1. They look good running the ball, blah, blah, blah. But I also get how good you're going to look when he gets even 12 fantasy points. You're just mint. You are just so mint with all those other guys. So I don't think other shows around the industry take stands like we do at Run Pure. So I'm fine with it. And yeah, I think the best play of the slate is a terrible play.
I will say that in tournaments, if you're fading Ramondre, I like the idea of playing the Browns defense because you're going to get him unowned against Bailey Zappi, and that is attractive to me. If you're fading
the only problem with it, though, is I just think it plays super slow, and I think they run a lot, which
I get it.
But I like your point, though. It's good leverage for sure.
Yeah, if Zappi throws the ball 25 times, that there are still a lot of opportunities for something bad to go wrong. And it's not like he has any receivers that he can trust. He's got Jacoby Myers as his one. It could go really bad really quickly for New England, I think, in this spot. And
I could see them getting blown out too, kind of. You're right. What happens when New England goes down 2 touchdowns? That's another case to fade Ramondre. I'm just honestly
Jacoby going back to
Oh
back.
no! Oh man! If Jacoby goes back to back, I just lose. That's how it is. Like
I kind of don't hate a little mini with Jacoby and Cooper on a Millie type team.
I'll be playing more Browns defense than any of them. And I think Tony, you talked me off of Ramondre in tournaments, so we'll see how that goes. So.
And when he nukes and stuff, we'll get all the same stuff we always get. Like, man, how could you fade Ramondre? Yeah. But like, you take stands. We want to win tournaments.
Didn't you know Ramondre was a good play? Wait. This is my favorite. I knew Ramondre was a good play. How didn't you know Ramondre?
I knew he was a good play.
Yeah,
he's getting all the volume, Crain.
Yeah, I, for the record, am on him. So
Well, for the record, we knew you were going to be on him too.
hey, Hoops won $1 million more recently than we have. So I
will. No, I give Hoop credit all the time. One of his strengths is he just plays the best plays and he doesn't get off of it. That's his strength.
I am like, if you just run an optimizer, though, if you go out there and blindly run an optimizer and don't change anything, you're going to get like 70% Ramondre Stevenson. I do think that's a huge mistake. I will
70% duped lineups too. And we know we don't do the duped lineups here.
We love the dupes though. I'll take it. I'll take a dupe win, a dupe Millie win today. I'd be happy with that.
I would be so happy with the dupe Millie win. All right, Vikings at Dolphins. Guys, before we get into this game, click the like button, click the subscribe button. Helps us out over here at Run Pure Sports. We're trying to get to 1,300 likes today. If you want the plays of the day. Hoop, where are we at right now?
Yeah, it's actually solid numbers. I mean, we're over 2,000 watching, but unfortunately only 945 likes. It's very simple. I mean, we are the most generous team in the industry by far, and I think people should be highly, highly incentivized to hit the like button. Just one click away. And, you know, Tambo has all these like funny sayings and unique sayings, but I had too many drinks yesterday and I can't remember any of them. So just hit the fucking like button and move on.
We're just glad you're here, buddy. I know. I'll never forget the time we were doing a show with Hoop, and he was so hungover, like 2 games, and he's like, "Peace out, guys."
Yeah, that was and that was the person fully responsible for that is someone that Big T knows. It's Todd, the Todd father. Todd father does damage when you hang out with him, and that was because of him.
We're too old for that now, man. We are way too old.
Yeah,
that was back in your more spotty youth. Now you're
yes.
All right, Vikings.
Sean V always wants to chirp in the chat too. Sean V, I had Josh Jacobs on my fade list on Showdown. Blah blah blah. I still crushed that Showdown, dude.
There's like Mahomes, 8 dudes Kelsey, that went off. Yeah, 8 dudes scored like 30 fantasy points. Like,
and we take stands, right? Yeah. I just made this point at Run Pure. We take stands on stuff. Would you rather me say everyone's a good play? Is that what you want, Sean V? Everyone's a good play.
Hey, I'm going to tell you guys. I'm going to tell you guys something. Especially if you're multi-entering, the one way to make sure you never win is to not take a stand. Like that's
run the optimizer.
Yeah, I've just got to play everybody because everybody might get there.
Yeah.
Like, guess what, guys? That ain't gonna work. Got to take
especially the good plays, right? Like on Showdown, if you play every single good play, how are you getting different? Everyone knows who the good plays are.
Yeah, this is 2022, guys. It's not like 2016 where you can just look and say, you know, this team has a high total and nobody's going to play it because
pull up Basketball Monster and just win.
Oh, those were the days, man. I swear to God, I had my ex-wife running Basketball Monster, being like, "Tell me what the lineup is now."
It was impossible to lose because only like 20% of the people had projections.
Oh man, take me back to those days. This is like 2003 poker, man, where like I just should have printed a lot more than I did because like I just should have been going all in on every slate. All right, Vikings and Dolphins, 45-point total. Minnesota, 3-point favorites on the road. And, we've been talking about how we can't really play these expensive running backs. Dalvin Cook kind of falls into that bucket for me. Hoop, I'll start with you here. Are you playing these Vikings guys? I assume you're not playing Dalvin. I assume you're playing Justin Jefferson, but go on.
Yeah, it's another tough game here, obviously. And I will say I'm kind of, with Dalvin Cook, a little concerned with how much work Madison's getting. I mean, it's just definitely not good for Dalvin, and the fact that we have like 10 really good running backs on the slate. And just to touch on the Stevenson point a little bit more, the reason why, if you do want to go the Big T's route and fade Stevenson is because there's like 7 other guys that are really good running back plays. So it makes it more tolerable, and Stevenson is going to be the highest owned. But back to this game, Dalvin Cook's not going to be one of the guys I go to at running back. A little concerned, obviously, with the work that Madison has been getting. It's just another, I think, ugly game from a fantasy perspective with this Skylar Thompson starting, which I'll admit I know nothing about this guy, but I know one thing: it can't be good for Tyreek and Jalen Waddle that he's the starting quarterback today. So that immediately takes me off the Dolphin side. Justin Jefferson, it does look like he's coming in really low ownership, and I think anytime you can get one of these elite wide receivers at low ownership, you just have to play them. I'm not saying a core player or anything, but one of those guys, it's going to be easy to get way overweight on Justin Jefferson, and he is essentially my only play in this game.
Tony, are you playing your boy Mostert?
I'm playing my boy Justin Jefferson. I'll tell you that much. He's not going to be owned again. Like, the dude was 4% owned last week, the best receiver in football. He should have gone for like 40, but he got stopped on the one twice, I think. He still went for like 30. It was almost like a down game for him. And it's almost like the days back 4 or 5 years ago where you could just jam those top running backs and they would just crush every week. And like, they would always come in lower owned than they should. Justin Jefferson, I'm just going to play him every week, and I'm going to take my chances, and I'm okay with that. He's had 1 or 2 bad games. He's crushed a few. I'm just
like
and Jamar Chase is another one.
Like,
I just want
like 5% on Jefferson, and so like he's going to be low. That's criminal, and it's easy to play him. I mean, you're not sacrificing much to lap the field in ownership.
Yeah, I don't really understand how people aren't playing him. Because, I mean, everybody's saving money at running back. Where the hell are they spending at if they're not spending for Justin Jefferson?
Some of the like projections around the industry too on him are hilarious to me. Like, I see 15 projections. How the hell is he projected for 15 fantasy points? Where can I bet the over?
No. I'll tell you one guy
lineups.
In your yes, right.
I'm going to. So we're going to find out if I win or not.
I'll definitely be fading Jalen Waddle. The targets weren't there with Skylar last week. They weren't really there before either. Tyreek, I don't love him, but I just think there's so much talent. And like, they have to get the ball in somebody's hands here. Like, they have to find somebody that's explosive to try and move the chain. So it wouldn't shock me if they manufactured some touches for Tyreek. I know you guys don't like him. I'm still going to play some Tyreek.
I think he's fine with you.
Okay.
Like, I do worry about the quarterback 100%, but all it takes is him getting it in some space and he's gone. And he's going to be totally unowned. Like, no one's going to use. You can't with the Bills game and the later games. You just can't use him. So, I mean, he could get 40 easily. So I say the same thing every week about Jamar Chase. Just play these guys. And when they have the weeks where they nuke, you're going to win a lot of money.
Yeah. All right. Jets at the Packers, 45-point total. The Packers, 7.5-point favorites. And this is one of those games where I don't think I like anybody. Like, I like Aaron Jones, but again, it's tough to spend up at running back this week. Tony, I'm going to kick it off with you this time. Packers side, big team total. Are you doing anything here?
So I think the most important thing is I talked about it on one of the other shows, but that Warren Sharp tweet really got me. I think I think he's super sharp, and some of those things he tweets to kind of tease out stuff are nice, and they've treated me good all year. So I keep looking at him. He said Green Bay's number 1 against non-play action on defense and number 32 dead last against play action teams against the pass. And the Jets run play action as much as anyone, basically. So I actually think the Jets are one of the sneakiest sides of the week. Green Bay's looked terrible. Like, they've looked awful. They should have lost 2 straight weeks to just bad teams. The Jets have good players. I mean, they do. You look, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Michael Carter, Corey Davis. Those guys are good enough to make plays, especially if Green Bay is on the downswing, which I think they are. So I actually think these Jets guys are very, very sneaky. Breece Hall is going to be, before all this news at running back, he was going to be chalky. Now, I mean, how good of a pivot in my mind is going from Stevenson to 200 less Breece Hall? I mean, sign me up. Breece Hall looks like a stud, and I really, really like that pivot. But I also think you could play one of these receivers. I mean, I don't know. The hard part is I don't know which one. They're all the exact same price. They all have the same similar like upside. So I don't know which one, but I do think I will leave them in my player pool and try to get a little bit of exposure to these guys. I think the Jets are very, very sneaky. And then if they can score, I don't know. Green Bay can score some points. I'm not going to play a running back just because of how good running backs are, but you have other guys like Lazard has looked decent. Dobbs has looked decent. These are plays that just aren't going to be played this week. And because I always play like 5 or 6 main teams, I might stack this game up on one team and kind of fill it in with some afternoon piece fillers. And I don't know. I have a feeling about this game. So this could be the game you guys make fun of me for, the low total that I think could shoot out a little.
You know, I will say that we were talking about Leonard Fournette in that Bucs game. I think Aaron Jones is every bit as good of a play. Same high total, big favorite. He's getting most of the work. A.J. Dillon has kind of been relegated to simply a backup. And Jones is one of those guys that if you were thinking about playing Leonard Fournette, I really think in tournaments you should consider Aaron Jones, because to me, if I'm spinning up, he's the guy I like. These receivers, it's tough for me to play. I know Romeo Dobbs is going to get some ownership. I like Dobbs, but I don't know. I'm not that excited. And if I'm going to choose a Jets receiver, I'm choosing Elijah Moore. Just a gut feeling there. Hoop, what are you doing in this game?
Yeah, I like the Breece Hall call. I mean, he's looked really good. People, the injury running backs, the guys that are benefiting from injury are like the shiny new toy that you want. Guy like Breece Hall is in the same role as those guys, and he's been doing it week after week. He's been very productive, similar price to all those guys, be way lower owned than all of them. So I do really like Breece Hall. Again, he, like Big T said, he would have been one of the higher owned running backs this week if we didn't get all this injury news. And we get all the injury news, people are immediately, like I said, flocking to those shiny situations, which they're good situations, don't get me wrong, but that's just going to make Breece Hall lower owned than he should be, easy to get overweight on him. The Jets wide receiver, I just haven't been messing with these guys. I don't know who the hell it's going to be. One of them probably has a good week. The other two probably don't have a good week. So I'll just pass on that situation. There's a lot of really good wide receiver plays, so I don't need any of those dudes. And then on the Packers side, Dobbs is probably the only guy I'm looking at. 4.8K, good price tag. You know, maybe some Lazard as well, but not too much. Overall in this game, Breece Hall by far my favorite, down to like single digit ownership, which is very nice.
It's wild that everybody has more interest in the Jets side as 10-point favorites, or as 10-point dogs, than they do the Packers side.
The more I'm thinking, and the more I was listening to you guys talk, the more I think you could double. This is where my mind gets sick.
No.
Like, I think you could play Rodgers, Lazard, Dobbs together, like a double stat. Lazard, I pulled him up. So coming into the year, everyone just thought Lazard was Rodgers' guy. Like they loved each other. They've loved each other in the past. He's been good, man. 14, 20, 13, 8 targets the last couple of weeks against the Jets. What if the Jets get a lead in this game? I mean, this game, I don't know. I really feel good about this game the more I'm thinking about it. The correlations are so nice because you can run it back with some of those chalkier running backs too. I don't know. It kind of comes together pretty nice.
All right, let's talk real quick about what the people are missing if they're not subscribing to RunPureSports Premium. Hoop, I'm going to kick it to you. We got the core plays. We got the playbook. Hoop, what's going on over at RunPure for the members?
Tons of stuff, obviously. Continue to pick winners, continue to have our members ship multiple slates. It's been an impressive ride so far throughout the first few weeks of the NFL season. I mean, a lot of people look and say, oh, well, you know, you won $1 million. Big T won 100,000 for like the 10th time in the last month. But it's not only us winning, it's the members as well. You see it in the Discord. I mean, these people, life-changing money for a lot of people. So, you know, the NFL content kind of starts with playbook, just, you know, some key plays, I'd say, at each position: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. We have a cash chart, which highlights the top cash plays, kind of create a core within that cash chart as well, where we highlight the guys that we feel you should be starting your lineups with. We have our core plays, which probably the most popular thing that we offer, where all our coordinators, you know, list 6 guys that are their core plays, and those have printed pretty nicely all season long. And then we have player pools as well. JSU, Big T obviously puts up his player pool for not only NFL, but every slate that he plays in. So it is a huge asset to people if you're building lineups. And like I said, there's been tons of winners picked, tons of momentum. Really excited about the product. that we put together. And it doesn't stop at NFL. I mean, if you're a member at RunPureSports, you get access to all content on our website. NBA is starting next week. And if you're subscribed to another site or any other site, basically, you'll be getting a bill in your email this week saying, hey, NBA starts, you now owe us 300, 400, probably $500 at some of these sites. At RunPure, you don't got to worry about that. If you have a monthly, weekly membership, you're good to get access to all content regardless. And obviously right now, get your biggest bang for your buck at MLB playoffs. Some of these showdown slates are going to get pretty damn big in the MLB playoffs. Big T's had a lot of success there. NBA starting, obviously, and NFL is in full swing. So it's a great time to be a member at runpuresports.com.
That's right. That's right, guys. If you're enjoying this, if you interested in being a member at RunPure, just help us out a little bit. Click that like button, click the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 1,300 likes to get our plays of the day. And, Hoop, you brought up basketball, and obviously that's starting next week. And to me, the price of admission just to be in the Discord is worth it, especially during basketball season, because with the late breaking news, you are going to need every little bit of help you can get, because basketball season, as we know, especially lately, has been and by lately, I mean the last few years, it's been a complete disaster with game time decisions. Oh, he's going to play, he's not going to play. Over Run Pure Sports, we've got you covered, especially in that Discord for all the latest news. That's where you want to be. And Hoop was talking about some of the members that have been shipping it. Let's talk about some. C. Tangretti, he turned $21 into $1,800. That's pretty good ROI. DFS Dad, all of us appreciate that screen name. He had for 8,800. Drew CA won 7.5 thousand. Jamie Walsh hit 20,000. J Dub 115 hit for 21,000. Kevin Barnhill shipped for over $90,000. Swint, he was here last week. He parlayed a 333 ticket that Hoop gave him.
Love to see that.
I'm sorry, Santa Hoop. We call you Santa Hoop, right? Gave him
into
$3,500 in the 333 tournament last week. Kay Fallick, our boy, he hit for 68,000 on Monday Night Football. Tambo won a King of the Beach seat. So we've been crushing over here at Run Pure Sports. So make sure you check us out. Again, click that like button, click that subscribe button. Helps us out. 1,300 likes. You get our plays of the day. And maybe some of those plays of the day are going to come from this Baltimore Giants game. 45.5 total. Baltimore 5.5 point favorites. And Tony, you haven't talked for like an hour, so I'm going to throw it to you first. Lamar Jackson, he's going to get some ownership on this slate. Maybe not enough, because if you're spending up, people are going to spend up for Mahomes. People are going to spend up for Josh Allen. Lamar Jackson, from an ownership standpoint, could be the guy sort of left to the side. What are you doing in this spot?
Yeah, he kind of looks like the pivot off of some of the afternoon stud quarterbacks, but man, I have a hard time playing him over those guys, just to be honest. He could easily crush. I mean, what was it, 2 weeks ago where he nuked, or 3 weeks ago, whatever it is now, these weeks blend together. But the week he crushed and was unowned with Andrews, that could happen again. But man, I don't think I want Lamar this week. I'm going to get my exposure just through Andrews. Like, tons of people are going to be playing Kelsey. Tons of people are going to be playing cheaper guys. I'm just going to play Andrews. He looks like a total smash play going against the Giants, who have always struggled guarding people like Andrews. Love that play. And on the Giants, I kind of like, let me pull these prices up. Like Slayton at 3,800, I think looks pretty good. I'm waiting to see Wandell, though. I want to see, do we know if he's active yet or not?
I haven't seen either way, but he's 3,600. And how do the
I heard
Giants,
he's like on a pitch count or something too, but
he's expected to play today, whatever that means.
You've got Richie James. You got Richie James there also. Like,
yeah, you're right. I was gonna play Slayton, but it's kind of a cluttered situation a little bit now with all these guys in there. So I'll just play Andrews, make it easy.
I still don't understand how the Giants have like 7 receivers that are all below average. Like, it's incredible.
The funny thing too is, like, they're all somewhat talented. I want to say, like, not like big names, but previously we've thought all of them are good at one point. Now they're all there. They're just like death.
Yeah. Like Richie James, I mean, he's expected to be the number one, and none of these guys are going to get ownership.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's a really good matchup too. It's just a matter of which one gets it. Like, I wish if Wandell was out, I would just jam Slayton today, because he looked good to me last week and he's got big play upside. But I don't know. You're probably right. It's probably just a stupid play.
You see this tweet that Burrow He came to the stadium
wearing the
Jamar
Chase, baby. You gotta wait. I was gonna sell it when we got to the game.
All
You're
right,
teasing
sorry.
people.
Yeah, I'm not good at the lead-in shit, so I just go right for the kill. Hey, did you see that tweet?
Yeah, Hoop has already checked out of the Ravens Giants game.
I do actually like getting exposure to Lamar. To be honest with you, just because it's low owned, and yes, I prefer Josh Allen by a lot. But man, like this, the slates where Lamar gets a little overlooked are the slates that he's absolutely nuked this season. And you have a clear pairing, obviously, with Mark Andrews, who I don't think is going to be as highly owned as people think, just because we have so many cheap tight ends. So I like getting some exposure to Lamar, especially in like 150. If you're doing 150, Mark Andrews, Duvernay, I'd be fine with, but nothing really on the Giant side. Probably won't get to too much Saquon here today.
I like Duvernay a lot.
I think he's a good play.
I'm sort of surprised he's not getting more love across the industry. He's under 5K. We need at least one of these cheap receivers this week. That's kind of how my builds have gone, especially if you're paying up at tight end. And Duvernay, they really tried to manufacture touches for him last week. Now it's a game where Baltimore's not projected to blow him out. He's only coming in at 3% ownership, it looks like. I like Duvernay quite a bit, and I'm surprised he's not getting more ownership across the industry. He's my sneaky cheap wide receiver play of the day. I'll give you guys that, because I just look, he had what was it? He had 5 catches on 7 targets last week, plus 3 rushing attempts. So 8 touches. If he gets into the box, he's got 20 points. And he's mega chalk this week. It would not shock me at all if he broke this slate. And I'm a little bit weird saying that about Devin Duvernay, but he even has a floor. I mean, we saw the big game, obviously, in week 1.
If you love Duvernay, you better play Lamar.
I mean, there's my problem, because I love Duvernay, but I really love Josh Allen.
I'm just saying, if you think Duvernay is going to nuke, you should play Josh Allen. Oh, we got the MediaCom. MediaCom's back, Hoop.
It's lasts about 10 seconds. And look at that look. I mean, honestly, if you're going to freeze, I mean, could it be at a better time? I mean, look at that face. Sexy looking gentleman. Right
really. Oh, so can I tell you guys a story really quick?
Yeah.
We have time for a story? So
we're not like Holden. We're not going to shut you down when you start telling a story.
Okay. So I'm doing my XM hit on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio last week, or on
humble brag
on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. It's great. I mean, at least they spelled my name right, Tony. Sorry, buddy.
You're right about that.
Tony got on there for me 2 weeks ago. They spelled his name wrong. Tony, how do you, or did they?
No, they didn't spell it wrong. They called me like Tyler or something.
Wasn't it Troy?
Troy.
Your name is 4 letters, and they screwed it up. It was unbelievable. And so I'm getting in there. And like my kid is here, right? I got a 4-year-old, and I'm like, all right, buddy, I need you to be quiet. I need you just to sit here and watch Bluey for the next 20 minutes. Okay.
I like Bluey.
So, Bluey is money, man. Bluey is so far and away the best kid show. It's not even close. So we're getting ready. I'm getting ready going. Like the show is in 2 minutes, and our MediaCom goes out. So I'm like, okay, buddy.
No way.
Yeah. So you just got to be quiet. He goes, okay. So he's quiet for the next 8 or 9 minutes or so. Then I'm on air, and he goes, Dad, I need to wipe, as loud as he freaking can. Goes over air. So I'm like wiping my kid while I'm on air talking about this stuff. It was just, it was like a bad comedy sketch. All right.
Oh, that is good. That's a good story. Me and Big T obviously both have kids, so we've been there before. Appreciate that story. That's a good one.
All the dads out there.
Stories, Holden.
Holden's already cut me off. He's changed the channel. He's taken away his like and subscribe. Don't do that if you like that story. click the like and subscribe button. We appreciate it. All right, Bengals at Saints, 43-point total. The Bengals 3-point favorite. Hoop, I'll start with you. Have there been any tweets about Joe Burrow?
It's got to be a sign, right? Burrow wearing the Jamar Chase jersey. T. Higgins, I guess he's like the one piece of news that we're potentially waiting on, but either way, it seems like a good Jamar Chase week. I mean, Big T's got the jersey on, so I don't want to, steal any sort of lead here when it comes to this situation. I do like Mixon though too. I like the Bengals in the spot. I think the Bengals pound the Saints here. I think they handle them very easily. Hayden Hurst, 3.3K, I think is a really good tight end play, especially if T. Higgins is out. And even if T. Higgins plays, I mean, we saw it last year, and it wasn't 100%. He's probably a little healthier now, but they had no issue just like shutting him right back down. But I'm interested in Hurst at 3.3. I like Chase at 7.7K. Again, another one of these wide receivers. I haven't really looked at the ownership on him. Okay, well, he's getting some ownership, but that's fine. If Higgins is out, Mike Thomas at 3K, he was out there like the entire game. When was it? A primetime game, right? I can't remember what night it was.
He was out there the whole game week 1 too. When T's out, he's in there.
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't done shit with the time out there, but he did have one catch for 33 yards. He plays a ton. 3K flat. I mean, we have some cheap wide receivers, but 3K flat is a different type of cheap. So I'd be interested in Thomas and Boyd if Higgins out. I mean, if Higgins is out, I'm going to have a lot of Bengals pass catchers today. And I like Mixon too. I think, the efficiency with Mixon has been super, super frustrating, but I just cannot imagine that he is this bad as we've seen. Did finally, look decent last week against Baltimore. It's getting looks like 6 yards per carry, which is an improvement from what we've seen. So I will have Mixon. And I guess to the pass catchers for the Bengals kind of depends on what happens with Higgins.
Tony, you're wearing the Jamar Chase jersey. I assume you're playing a little Jamar Chase.
He's another guy just like Jefferson. I'm going to play him every week. I am annoyed that they never move him around. Like I saw a chart that showed like the routes he's run versus Kupp versus Jefferson versus all the other top guys. His route tree is just embarrassing compared to those other guys, and they got to get him more involved. They know they do. They got to move him to different spots. They got to put him in the slot. They got to put him in the backfield, and I think they do. He's gonna break a few slates, and I'm gonna be there for it whenever it happens. Love Burrow wearing the jersey. I like narratives like that where these guys kind of do stuff like that. Who knows what it means? Probably nothing. I'm sure there's people out there it doesn't mean nothing, but that's fine. I liked him anyways. Mike Thomas, interesting call. I like that call from Hoop because he is going to play.
That is not a Hoop. That is not a Hoop.
Yeah, that's why I liked it.
It's an eye test call, and I'll tell you that's the one thing that we do better than these other sites. Because guess what? Even if Higgins is out, Mike Thomas isn't going to project for shit. But guess what? We watched that primetime game, and we saw this dude on the field the entire fucking time. So it's an eye test type thing where you're not going to get it in the projections. Other sites are selling you strictly on projections. It's not a projection play, but 3K guy that's going to be on the field. Probably the whole game with a competent quarterback, I'm in.
Yeah, and they're going to focus on Chase, so he's going to get good looks just like they have. So I like that call. And
okay, guys, I just want to say, like, if Higgins is in, Tony, you're up there in Cincinnati. Like, can we play Higgins because nobody's going to be on him?
If he's in, you can always play him. And man, first of all, I don't think he plays, but maybe he ends up going. But yeah, if he's in there, you can play him at any point because he's not. I mean, last week he was active, right? And then he just sat there the whole game.
Yeah, he was active and was on it. That's what concerns me. Like if he's active and then he just plays only 30 snaps.
I just don't think we need it. Like, I'm just going to play Chase, but that doesn't mean you can't. Like, he could crush if he's in there for sure. I'm not going to do it personally, but I do think it's okay if he's in for sure because he's got 30-point upside, no doubt about it.
All right, we talked a lot about this Bengals side. The Saints side is a complete disaster right now. Michael Thomas, he's out.
How about last week, by the way, with New Orleans, though? We got like 10 Taysom questions. I made fun of my boy. Yeah. Can't play him for 6K at tight end, and the dude just flat out nukes. Yeah. If you could have somehow played him on FanDuel at 6K, you would have been. I mean, man, you'd have had to change undies like 4 times. Did you see what they did with him this week?
What they do?
What his price on FanDuel?
What is it?
$7,500.
Okay, if you play him, you're crazier than anybody here. If you play him at $7,500,
why can't they just price him to where you can play him? Like price him like 5K or something. Come on.
Can we do anything with this Saints side because Traquan Smith and Marquez Callaway are going to be the starting receivers. Obviously, Kamara's the guy. Last week, he absolutely destroyed. But this is projected to be a close game. Like, you have to think Kamara's going to be involved at 6'7". He's $700 more than Ramondre, which is kind of in the same price range, and he's going to be a third of the ownership. Like, Hoop, I see you nodding your head. Are you in on Kamara this week?
Yeah, man. He's another one of those guys that, like, why is I'm in on Stevenson. Maybe I don't know. There's videos of Harris like warming up like right now on the field. So that's
Oh,
something.
don't
What?
let Harris play.
Yeah, he's out
Don't
there.
bail
like,
everybody out of their 50% chalk. Oh,
yeah, he's out. I don't think he'll play Damian Harris, but Holden was actually just
I'll be
texting me, which is
disgusted
rare.
if he plays.
Yeah. But yeah, Kamara $700 more than the most popular play on the slate. He looked really good finally last week. No injury designation. Very interested in Kamara. Both these running backs in this game, Mixon and Kamara, in on. I'll have Callaway and Traquan Smith in my player pool, not like forcing them in by any means. Like if I need cheap wide receivers and they hit, yeah, that's fine. But I'm not, playing those guys at a high clip. They'll just be in there. And if they hit type plays. But I don't know. I just don't have much confidence in the Saints doing shit today.
Yeah, I think Kamara outside of Aaron Jones is going to be my most expensive running back on this slate. Like I just can't pay up at running back. Tony, are you playing Kamara?
Yeah, this is another game that I think if you can get the right script early, which is probably the Bengals getting a lead and New Orleans having to throw a little bit. Dalton revenge factor too, we should talk about. Like he's Cincy obviously forever. They kind of got rid of him for Burrow, obviously. But I don't know. I could see a path where this game shoots out a little bit if you get lucky and Kamara gets it going. So Kamara would be my guy. Like if I played like a Burrow Chase or Burrow Mike Williams Chase type thing, or Mike Thomas, I guess is his name, and Kamara run back, I could see that. I mean, I agree with you. His price tag is too cheap for a guy that they don't have receivers. So he's going to have to get targets. There's no way around it. So yeah, I could be talked into it.
All right, Panthers at the Rams, 41.5-point total. The Rams, 10-point favorite. And big news with the Rams, Cam Akers, he is going to be out probably for the rest of his Rams career. It doesn't sound like he's going to be returning there, which means we've got a three-headed monster with Los Angeles. And Hoop, I'm struggling here because when I first saw this, I said, Darrell Henderson, I'm probably going to play a lot of him. But now I'm seeing reports that they're going to be splitting the backfield three ways. I never play guys in that spot, but it's tough not to have interest in Darrell Henderson at 5.1K. Even Malcolm Brown at 4K, I'm a little interested in. Hoop, what are you doing with this Rams side? This is a big team total. I just don't know where the ball's going to go outside of Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, and Cooper Kupp, this is the first week where I want to say, all right, maybe I'll not play Cooper Kupp just because he is super expensive now. Kind of had the injury designation, but man, I have made a promise to myself to always have a little bit of Cooper Kupp. It's just 99% of the time it's the right move. So I will end up having him, but it's the first week where I'm tempted to not. But I'm going to be in on him. Higbee's just, a volume monster right now at 4.6K. DraftKings still hasn't brought up his price tag at all, really. So in on Higbee. I don't know with the Rams situation. They have three of these guys, but I just think it's going to be Henderson. I know they'll mix in the other dudes too a little bit, but if they have this big lead, a majority of the work is going to Henderson, in my opinion. So I think Henderson is a really good play, really strong play. I mean, we've seen the upside with him. He has multiple touchdown upside. Favored by 10 here. I like Henderson a lot. I really do. And I know they said running back by committee. I'm not buying it. If this is a game where they have a lead, I think Henderson is their dude. I want to get some McCaffrey today just because it can't be worse than what's been going on with Baker. I mean, obviously PJ Walker, the name makes you want to puke, but Baker is so bad. Baker, probably the worst quarterback in the NFL. And I know I say that about a lot of guys, but Baker, it might actually be true. So it can't be worse, but I just don't know if I can get to the 8-3. So I'll have to see with McCaffrey. I'll keep him in my player pool, not forcing him in if I get some good. But my favorite play here is probably Darrell Henderson. I'm just going to take the approach that I think he's the guy. Assume he doesn't do something stupid and fumble early on. If he's somewhat productive, I think he gets a large majority of the work.
Yeah, Vegas, by the way, they also think that Henderson's the guy, 56-yard rushing prop and is plus 105 to score a touchdown. So Vegas thinks Henderson is the guy as well. Tony, what are you doing with this Ram situation?
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky for sure. Cooper Kupp always. I do kind of agree with Hoop that I don't like him as much. They just don't have. I had him last week, and he was my key guy to having a big week last week because no one had him in that late game. But I also had to sweat through his injuries and other teams just focusing on him. They don't have guys. Like, they just dump it off to Higbee or throw it to Kupp. That's literally their only weapons. Robinson's terrible. Skowronek's terrible. I don't know. I'm worried about it. And Henderson, I gave my speech about Najee Harris. The Rams have literally no offensive line, but it is a price point, 5,100. I'm not going to full fade him. I don't love it, though. I'll be honest. They don't block. They don't open up holes. So I don't see the upside for sure. Even though they're favored, Carolina's D-line is decent enough. I don't know. I don't love it, but I'm not pulling him out.
What are you doing with Christian McCaffrey, Tony? Because
I'm not playing him because I'm worried about the trade factor. It's just I don't think they're going to give him a heavy workload with the trade talks. They can't have him get hurt when they want to trade him.
And I've heard some people say, well, they want to showcase him. Like, they've been showcasing Christian McCaffrey for 6 years.
They don't need to showcase him anyway.
Everybody knows what McCaffrey is. Like, I think I kind of err on the side that they're going to try and protect him.
If it wasn't so many good running backs too, like I think you could. It's just why? Like, could he crush the slate? Even on the earlier show this week, I said I liked him. The more I thought about the trade stuff, though, the more I'm like, why am I playing him when you're going to be so mad when he's just sitting on the sideline for half the game?
At 8-3 at running back, if he gets you 25, I don't think it matters.
That's a good point.
Don't get me wrong. I would take the 25, but it also doesn't kill you.
But it doesn't guarantee. I agree with the point. Both sides. I think that's a good point.
Yeah, like if you're getting, because there are going to be some of these 5K guys that get you 18, 19 points, and that's if 3 of those guys get there. And I think there are so many good 5, 6K guys that 3 of those guys are going to get there. 25 for McCaffrey ain't going to matter. You're going to need 35 for it to matter. And I'll take my chances on him not getting 35 on a team with a 15-point total. Speaking of cheap running backs,
I got a question for you guys. Like, what?
You know how good that transition was?
That's why I wanted to ruin it. We can't have good transitions.
Come on, man. What are you doing?
I had to get in there. I had a thought like Hoop. I saw Twitter. I had to talk about it. What is wrong with Tom Brady's face? Like, why is it so skinny?
That's what you ruined my transition.
It was an important question.
Yeah, dude, he got some work done for sure.
I mean, like, he got too much. He needs to put some fat back on it.
Yeah. It's like the cheekbone and jawline is the most defined thing I've seen.
It's like goes inward.
Yeah. It's like the cheeks are like
that might be why Giselle shipped it out. You got a good impression there.
Yeah, it's like sucked in right here.
Giselle's like, I don't like that duck face.
Yeah.
Well, if you do like the duck face, do us a favor, guys. Click that like, subscribe.
Here's a question, though, to ruin another transition.
Just
to ruin another transition for you.
I'm just gonna go get a sandwich.
Do you think he hit the bench at the wedding there, Big T?
Brady?
Yeah.
What wedding was he at?
He was what's the Patriots owner's what's his
name? He was at that one. He definitely
Robert Kraft's wedding.
I would say it's at least like minus 500 that he hit the bench.
Yeah, had to have hit the bench out there.
I don't think he has an issue in that department.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys
whenever I think of Tom, we're just ending this for you. Whenever I think about Tom Brady, I just still think about him like making out with his like 12-year-old son.
People get mad every time I post that GIF too. People get so sad about it. It happened, people.
Yeah,
it's not my fault.
Yeah,
I mean, I know I don't make out with my kid. I'll tell you that
much. Can I talk?
All right, Crain.
Yeah, transition us, Crain.
Yeah, get us a smooth transition.
If you enjoy knowing that Tony doesn't like making out with his kid, go ahead and click that like and subscribe. This just went to shit really quick. Like, this is incredible. Click that like button, click that subscribe button. You want our plays of the day? We're going to need to get to 1,300 likes. Hoop, how we looking?
1.1. We got almost 2,500 people watching.
2,500.
Yeah,
guys, do us a favor. Click that like button. Click that subscribe button. We know you're out there watching. It helps us out over Run Pure Sports. We're giving you guys this show for free, and I don't think too many shows out there are giving 3 Million Maker winners, having 3 Million Maker winners give their takes. So go ahead and click that like and subscribe button. It helps us out over Run Pure Sports. And guys, that was the best transition I'm going to have all day, and you just got to poop it on it. Let's go ahead and talk about Arizona and Seattle. where there are two cheap running backs, which I brought up 5 minutes ago before you started talking about Tom Brady making out with his kid. It's a 50.5 point total. Arizona 2.5 point favorites. And Benjamin, he's going to be popular. Kenneth Walker, he's going to be popular. Two running backs that are very cheap, two running backs that are great plays. This whole game should be popular. At least the running backs will be, because I don't know how you fade and or Kenneth Walker. Tony, I'll kick it to you first. Do you have a favorite amongst these guys? What are you doing with this game? Because now we're getting to some of these higher total games on the slate, and we're going to see a lot of chalk here, but I think it's a lot of good chalk.
Yeah, it's where it gets interesting for sure. And there's a lot of chalk this week. Who do you get on? Who do you get off? I already talked about kind of where I'm getting different, fading Stevenson. There's no way I can fade at 4,600 against Seattle, the worst defense in football. I think this game could play fast. I talked about the New England, how I thought it would play slow. I think this game could play super fast. And 4,600 for the guy, that's just a slam. I might literally just lock it. I'm probably not going to lock him because it's a running back, but I think you could just go super, super heavy on him. Jam him above the field. Love him. I struggle a little bit more with Kenneth Walker just because Seattle sucks. But like you said, he was one of the best college running backs last year. He's a stud. His price tag, 5,400. I'm always a little uncomfortable, and I want to hear what you think, Crain, because you're good with these correlations. I always just feel weird playing both running backs. Yeah. But they're both cheap. Does that make a difference? Like, it does a little bit to me.
It absolutely makes a difference because you don't need both these guys to go for 30 to get there. And I think from a game stack perspective, I have no problem playing these guys together. And I never do this. I think 99% of the scripts I've built over the course of my life have faded these two guys going against each other, but they're both such good plays and such a high total. And you don't need, I was just talking about if McCaffrey gets 25, if a few of these guys get 18, you're fine. These guys can both absolutely get 18 together. They both catch passes. Like, it's everything you could want. So I have no problem playing these guys together. Hoop, welcome back. Are you going to be playing these guys together? Do you have a problem with Kenneth Walker individually, together? What are you doing at this spot?
Yeah, I kind of agree with the point that you guys made. They're just so cheap. Do you want to play like Christian McCaffrey and, Dalvin Cook if they're going against each other? No, probably not. Benjamin is 4.6K. Like, you don't need the 40 fantasy points or whatever. So in on both these running backs, prefer. Who else do the Cardinals have? It's going to be this guy.
They called up Corey Clement. Yeah, that's how bad it's gotten.
Yeah, that's desperation point for sure. It's just a well-rounded fantasy game. You have multiple pass catchers on both sides. I think Marquise Brown probably has been the most underrated wide receiver so far this season. He's been phenomenal. Despite how bad Kyler is, he's been great. Rondale Moore, 8 targets last week, 7 catches, 68 yards, 4.2K. Yes. Zach Ertz, super consistent. Just so consistent all season long. So you have 4 plays on the Cardinals skill position wise that are in play here. And then on the Seattle side, you got Walker. You have DK Metcalf, who I think is a really good play. Tyler Lockett. I wish they would just do something. Just bump his price a little bit at DK, just a little bit. He's better than a mid-5 wide receiver. Yeah. Can we do something there, please? 5.6K. He's going to be the highest owned. Give me some Metcalf, though, for sure. Hopefully people go to Lockett and overlook Metcalf a little bit. Obviously Metcalf will have ownership, but Lockett will be the higher owned between the two. Love getting some DK. And you have, these are fun games where you got literally 7 or 8 fantasy plays besides the quarterbacks who I'll have exposure to both as well. So this is a very appealing game for sure. And it's one of those weeks where after the 1 p.m. Eastern games, you find yourself in a good position profit-wise. Good
you're
luck.
In trouble. Yeah,
good luck.
You do not want to be seeing that currently winning a bunch of money before the afternoon games. Hoop, this reminds me of the Lions-Seattle game.
Yeah, it really does.
It really, and I know it's Seattle again, and I'm going to say I love Geno Smith today. If you're not spinning up for one of those top 4 quarterbacks, for Allen, Mahomes, Lamar, one of those top 3 quarterbacks, I think you need to go all the way down to Geno. He's
been awesome. There's no denying it. He's been great.
And it's a
Fantasy
great
wise.
spot. It's a great spot. I mean, people are going to play Tom Brady. I prefer Geno straight up to Tom Brady. It's $600 cheaper. And you
There
can
he
play.
is.
What happened?
Kevin just poked his head in my office.
Who did?
Kevin.
Okay.
He's actually in my house.
Oh my gosh, look at that
so-
guy.
Well, look at
Yeah.
look at
Wow,
in
look at
my
that
house.
sexy fella.
this. I am the only one who's never been to
Looking
Tony's house.
svelte.
I'm the only one who's never been to Tony's house. So he's
Yeah.
dabbing in the middle of the show. I love it.
It
But,
would
you
have
know,
been
I
nice.
mean-
It would have been nice to get an invite out there, but the Hoop will be on the sidelines watching games by himself this Sunday.
You
Unfortunately,
guys are always invited.
All right. I can't get at the golf course with you though. I saw your scores, man. It's just
It was
Eddie-
not good golf from that was some man going. We
My-
should have talked about
you guys
this.
should have
show.
taken. You guys should have taken Mangone to play putt putt.
I mean, I said it before we went out. I said if he loses to JSU, who's only had clubs for 2 weeks, it's going to be a bad scene. And JSU went out there and got him
it's
done on
tough.
the course.
That is
man.
tough.
Stopper though, we should have let into that. I mean, and then Rubio came in and owned Mangone on the court too. I mean, it was a tough weekend
What
for
was the score of
Mangone.
that one? What was the final score there?
15-7 or something.
Oh,
It was
geez.
Rubio
Yeah.
was on a mission.
On a mission. Okay, so speaking of on a mission, I just want to reiterate this Cardinals and Seahawks game. I think you can super stack it up. Play Geno, then you can play Kenneth Walker, Metcalf, and Lockett. You can play on the other side Eno Benjamin, Marquise Brown, Rondale Moore, Zach. This game just has too many good pieces that are too cheap to ignore. So this is one of those spots where I'm going to be overweight on the field. And if I'm, as Hoop said, if I'm winning money early in the day, it ain't going to be good because actually that would be good because I'm still going to have a shitload of this game. Again, guys, if you want to help us out, click the like button, click the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 1,300 likes today. Hoop, where are we at?
Yeah, we're right there. It's now that we're over 1,000, you don't get the full number. Now we got 1.2K. So I don't know how close we are, but we're getting there. I mean, almost 2,500 people watching. So subscribe, like, let's get it done, boys.
Yeah,
and girls,
we got one game.
boys and girls.
We got one game left, and Tony, do it. Tell K Fallick to jump on his computer, click the like button. We're trying to get to 1,300 by the end of this game, and it's a game here where I think we might see a little bit of ownership. It's the Bills and the Chiefs, a 54-point total. Buffalo 2.5-point favorite, and Tony, I'll just kick it to you, man. Is there anybody you don't like in this game?
Yeah, so this is where my spicy takes come in.
Uh-oh.
I think Buffalo blows them out. I think Kansas City looks super overrated to me. They looked terrible last week. I think Buffalo's got the revenge on their mind from how they got knocked out last year. I think Buffalo's the best team in football. I think Josh Allen's the best quarterback in football. I think they got all the weapons. And then you look at Kansas City, they got Kelsey, who obviously is good, but he's going on the downswing. You got another tight end, Juju, who's like 80 pounds overweight and he can't get open. Edwards-Helaire is just a dust ball. MVS is their best receiver. I mean, they're super overrated to me. I think they get blown out. I think all of Kansas City bust. I hope people play Mahomes. I'm not playing Kelsey. I'm not playing Mahomes. I'm not playing Fat Juju. The only spots I want at all from Kansas City are MVS a little bit just because of price, and I think he's number one. And I think you could play McKinnon in a Millie Maker type format. The only problem is running back's loaded, so it is a little thin, I think.
Yeah.
But
I don't think this is the slate for me.
yeah, you guys are probably right. I'm just saying if they get down and have to throw a bunch, you guys are probably right though. He's probably a bad play. But if he's not in play, man, it's just MVS for me, and I'm going to be way under on everyone else. And Buffalo, I just think they put it on them, and that means Josh Allen to whoever you want. I like all these guys, so that's the hard part. Do you play Diggs? Do you play Gabe? Do you run a second guy with them, a Knox, a McKenzie, a Singletary even? It's harder. I think the Arizona game kind of pieces together, kind of how you guys were talking about, better than this game.
It's easier. It's easier to piece that together. Yeah. This game's tough because, to me, I love Kelsey today. I like the fact that Kelsey is going to be freaking 10% on a slate like this is really attractive to me. And look, if Buffalo blows them out, it's not going to work out for me. But how rare is it to get a guy like Kelsey at low ownership? I'm calling 10% low ownership for a guy with this much upside. Like, it's just super rare. And then on the other side, it's Diggs and Davis, and I'm going to let other people try and get these secondary pieces to work. I'm just going to play the studs in this game. You know, it's kind of different than the Cardinals-Seahawks game where I want a lot of pieces in that one. In this one, I want Kelsey, a little MVS, as you said. I'm with you on Juju. Freaking hilarious. You called him a tight end. I don't want to mess with Mecole Hardman. I'm not messing with Clyde Edwards-Helaire just because he's burned me for 2 years and I ain't doing it anymore. And then on the Buffalo side, I want Diggs and Davis, and I'm Knox. I get he's too cheap, but I'm still just playing these studs. And I love that nobody's playing Kelsey. Hoop, I saw you nodding your head in agreement with me when I was talking about Kelsey. So I assume you think Tony's absolutely insane.
I fully agree with everything you just said. I mean, I want Allen with Diggs, Gabe Davis. I mean, maybe a little bit of Knox. Like, you know, I don't want a ton of Knox, but I want some because he's only 3.4K. Gabe Davis, I think, is a great. I mean, he crushes. He's absolutely crushed. And I don't know. I saw the statistic, but like when he has no injury designation, he's averaging like a crazy amount of fantasy points. Had the 2 or 3 weeks where he kind of popping on and off the injury report, didn't perform all that well. Last week, just full smash. I want Allen to Diggs to Gabe, some Knox. On the Chiefs side, it's super clear. I mean, how rare is it to see a guy score 4 touchdowns in a game and then come back and maybe less than 10% owned? Like, sign me up for that. Like, for sure. Could be a good game trailing script here for the Chiefs. So I love Kelsey, MVS. I like Hardman a little bit. He showed some signs last week, and you know, I think a lot of that has to do with how bad Juju's been. He just looks awful. I mean, it's not only not getting open, but just dropping the ball as well. Like, he just looks like shit. Looks like absolute shit out there. So I think Hardman will get some more opportunities here. So like MVS, the price tag on MVS is just too good, 4.5K. MVS, Kelsey, Hardman. But I do have those similar concerns, though, that Big T has. Like, I think Buffalo could smash them here. I really do. So that is my one concern. But some of these Chiefs guys could still get there in that sort of game script as well. So it's the premier game of the week, of the season, whatever. I mean, this is what we love. I mean, Bills, Chiefs, it's always fun. So yeah, definitely looking forward to this one. But fantasy interest wise, I have more interest in the Cardinals and Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get more premier than this. Like, this is, if you could pick 2 teams out of the entire NFL to play and you'd want to watch, this would be the game. Hoop, did we get 1,300?
Yeah, right
all
on cue.
All right, there we go, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys helping us out over RunPureSports, and because of that, you get our plays of the day. Tony, I'll kick it to you first. Who's your workbench play of the day?
Man, it's a little tougher today than usual because I want to find something. I'm trying to figure out who I could say is sneaky, and a lot of the good plays today are just good plays. So man, I always give low owned plays, but this week I'm just going to give a chalky guy because there is a bunch of chalk, and honestly, I don't see any just total sneaky play that I can feel confident giving out. So I'm gonna take the easy way out. I don't always do this, so you guys can get mad or whatever. But Enoy Benjamin, one of the highest owned plays on the slate. I just think he's a lock, and I don't, like always, I don't want to just say a name just to say it, and I don't have like a crazy low-owned guy today. So I know he's going to be my highest-owned guy. I know I love him. Yeah, he's going to be chalky, but there's a lot of chalky running backs. I guess leverage that in with the Stevenson fade. That'll kind of be my off-the-wall workbench type play. Enoy, all in or close to all in, full fade of Ramondre Stevenson. So a combined workbench play there.
I like it. I like the workbench play being the fade. That's fun.
I just don't have a good one this week. I hate it.
I thought you were going Justin Jefferson for sure. That's right.
I mean, does that count? Like, I could say him, but is that count?
My play is over 7.5K. I think it's perfectly fine.
I mean, I could have. You're right, but whatever. I like him too.
Hoop, Rich Parents and Rich Hoop play of the day. Rich Parent play of the day.
Yeah, I'm the Rich Parent play of the day now.
I'm going to the same team as Big T. Marquise Brown, we talked about him when we talked about that game. He's just been so productive and, you know, not necessarily like flying under the radar, but 10% owned. Marquise Brown in the game that I like the most. I think you're going to need him on your teams today to win. So give me some Marquise Brown, Rich Parents play of the day.
What's better than that, too? That's got to be like my two favorite plays. I almost said him, but I wanted to give just those two together, too. And you don't usually play running back receiver together, but you can with these guys because he catches the ball, too. I love them together.
Yep.
Are we sleeping on Kyler?
I'm not, because I'm playing a ton.
I'm playing.
We didn't even mention it.
Yeah, I'm playing him for sure. Like I talked about it a little bit. I guess we didn't go into detail on it, but I'm definitely playing Kyler today. Like I think he's a shitty quarterback when it comes to winning football games, but he can 100% break a DFS slate. Low owned play this week. Love him.
See, and I hate doing this because like we're not looking at average projection. We need to look at upside, but I made the mistake of looking at the props in this game, and like Geno's props are better than Kyler's. And I was
projections better than Kyler's.
I'm playing Geno, but like earlier in the week, I was like, man, I got to play Kyler. I think I'm just playing Allen and Geno, but yeah. And my 37X play of the day, it's somebody who isn't going to be popular enough. It's Mr. Travis Kelce at $7,800. Like everybody wants to save money at tight end or play Mark Andrews, and nobody's going to play the best tight end on the slate. And I know Tony's concerned that they get blown out.
I'm playing the best tight end on the slate. His name's Mark Andrews.
I thought you were going to say Dawson Knox or somebody.
Definitely not Dawson Knox.
I'm with you, Crain. I got your back on that one.
Kelsey's dusted, man. I'm telling you, he's dusted.
He just scored 4 touchdowns. I know
20 yards.
Okay, you know what? First off, it was 25. It was 25 yards. Thank
25.
You. Yeah.
If you round up, he's like closer to 30.
Yeah.
If you round up.
Oh man! All right, Hoop. What do the people have coming up next over Run Pure Sports?
Yeah, up to lock. Holden, JSU, Dunkel breaking down the slate, the news that comes in. Waiting on a couple pieces like T. Higgins. I think is going to be pretty key. Damian Harris, but they said he came out and did that little workout, but people are saying he didn't look all that good. It didn't look like he was going to play. So Big T's fade can remain in effect. But yeah, we got the up to lock show. All the rest of the content should be dropping. Most of the cores are posted. I know Big T will be hopping on and finishing up his player pool when we get out of here. So a lot of content and that up to lock show. Make sure you tune in over at RunPureSports.com.
All right, guys. I want to thank everybody for watching. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the subscribe. We appreciate you helping us out. Hope we helped you guys out make some decisions. It's going to be a fun week. And once again, if you're winning money after the early slate, I got bad news because you're going to want a lot of exposure to these late games. This Cardinals Seahawks, this Bills Chiefs game. Load it up, have some fun, make some money with us over at Run Pure Sports. For Tony, for Hoop, I'm Eric. We'll catch y'all later. Peace.